Okay, we are back for
Uh-oh.
the last show of the year, and
Well, we
as you
turned
may
into
or may
Invisible
not have
Man.
noticed, we have
Out of
Rob,
here.
Tony
It's missing.
Danza,
Howdy!
and Rob is now gone again.
And he's back.
Okay,
No, I'm here. It just again delayed. Of course.
That's an amazing magic trick dude,
Yeah,
that is.
that you
I
blame
was-
on
see, here I go.
technology.
so we
See,
have.
I thought I could actually like speed up the camera by plugging in the microphone to a different USB, and it just made it worse. So I'm sure we'll catch up. So on our
This is
roundup,
like-
do me last.
This is like a great Saturday afternoon
Yeah,
kung fu
yeah,
movie.
yeah. It's hilarious.
Just with a beard and everything. So we're gonna see who all pops in. It looks like Scepter is here. It looks like Mazin's here.
What's up, Mazin?
I just
think
got
we've
it
quite
tweeted
a
out,
few
so-
lurkers, because I haven't seen a lot of other people kind of pipe in just yet. But what we wanted to do is just kind of do a general chat with everybody, because it's going to be the last one we're going to get done before the new year. Kind of see how everybody's holiday went and see if you have any plans for New Year's, what we liked about the year, what we didn't like about the year. What we're kind of hoping will come out of the new year, you know? Try
Did
to walk
this
in with
year
a little
seem-
bit of optimism.
Did this year seem insanely fast to everyone? Like crazy
Yes.
fast? Or was it okay? Like it felt like 6
Hey, Rand.
months at most.
I think that just depends on how busy you are. Parts of mine just flew by, and parts of it dragged. It just depended on how busy I was at the time.
Okay, so
I
you're saying that-
imagine yours was crazy busy, because from talking to you the few times I have this year, you have been stupidly busy this year.
As we discussed before, 45 million projects. That's the exact count.
Yeah, pretty much.
45
I
million.
thought it was an
45
overestimation. And you're like, no, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
And
Do
I'm
you have
like,
any idea
okay.
what it's like to scratch one off? You're like, oh, there's still 44 million.
Dude, I'll be honest. There was a couple times when I was working at my current job, and right during like the height of the pandemic and all that, and I literally had several panic attacks. I was so busy. Like I was afraid to go to sleep because I wouldn't be able to stay on schedule with work.
Yeah, you're
it
going to
was
see
just
that
was
sleeping
not
is
possible.
overrated.
But I'd be up for 12 hours. I'd get 3 or 4 hours of sleep, wake up, work something that showed up that was broken the night before, and then work another 6 hours, and then go into another 12-hour window. Yeah, it was insane.
Fun.
The older we get, the faster time passes. That's because we got less of it left, my man.
That's morbid.
It is morbid, but it's honestly true.
You're not wrong.
Oh God, did I call Ruby Ray? Oh God, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Ruby. I'm very sorry. My apologies. I think I said that wrong. I meant to say Ruby. I really didn't mean to say
I could have
Ruby.
sworn you said Ruby, but
I thought I did. Maybe I didn't.
well, I guess it's time to quit YouTube, dude. I think it's time to hang up the
would,
channel.
wouldn't be the first time. I'd be following a popular trend, I feel like.
If you don't move, Rob, it may work.
I think I might actually like, be able to keep the subterfuge if I just don't talk.
Pretend you're a JPEG. It may work.
Always go to the restrooms. Yeah. I think that happens to everybody, Ruby. I really do. Poll for the chat: who's better dressed, Mike or Panda's pool table?
Panda or Mike's pool table.
Panda or Mike's pool table.
He's wearing a nice shade of brown.
It's good to see you, Si. So, let's go around. Tony Danza, what have you been up to lately?
Angela.
Outside of 45 million projects.
Angela,
What's the question?
Samantha.
What's the question? I'm sorry there.
What have you been into lately? What have you been working on? What have you been
What have I been working on?
And did you have any like fun
A
during the
channel.
holidays and that kind of stuff and that kind of stuff?
Well, you know, me, I don't really-
we're going to your channel towards the end because we'll talk about what you're going to do in the coming year.
Oh, we're just like what
I've
I'm doing.
seen
for
some
fun.
of your plans, but I was just trying to figure out,
What am I doing for fun?
what have you been doing? Where you been hanging out?
Hey, well, it's
on?
pretty much work. I pretty much have been doing work and channel work, but on the side for fun because this is a podcast. I have a PlayStation 5 and I've been enjoying it thoroughly.
Did you actually get one?
I saw a picture.
I'm just
I
gaslighting.
see pictures of the box, but I don't know that I see pictures of the console.
No.
Well, today we actually saw a picture of
We
the real
saw a
console.
picture of the console.
And I hope I ruined it for you, Panda. I really
Or,
did.
or it's hard to say. Like, or maybe I've just been doing a lot of Photoshop stuff, and I've had this for a while. It's like it's a dumb mystery that no one cares about, but I'm having a good time with. But let's go with the fact that I have a PS5 and I have been enjoying it.
Time, you may actually be having more fun with the Photoshop than you might with the actual PS5.
That's always it. I'm always having more fun with Photoshop. Hypothetically, if I do have a PS5, I've been enjoying Horizon Forbidden West, finally playing it on the PS5. Actually really surprised with God of War Ragnarok. I'm enjoying that way more than the original one.
I've heard that, actually.
Yeah,
and
I'm having a lot more fun with
I
that.
need to pick up Forbidden West because I did finally get around, although I haven't finished up the DLC
I need to get them both.
for Horizon Zero Dawn. I
Okay.
beat the main game, but I never sat down. I got most of the way through the DLC and I got distracted by something and put it down, and I haven't gotten back to it.
Well, you can always, like, any of those games always pays off if you wait, because then they get all the DLC in it and you get the full version later on.
Right.
So it can't hurt. If you got a long catalog of stuff, work on
I've
that
got an
stuff.
enormous long catalog stuff, and it pops up every day because I keep going, well, I'll just play this one game on Game Pass because it'll probably go away soon.
Right.
And then I end up like just cycling through that crap now because I've
And
got...
finally, did you ever finally play Phoenix Rising?
No, I've got it, and I meant to start it today, and I ended up starting high on life because I wanted an FPS.
Okay.
But
All right.
I do have it, and it's one of those I keep meaning to start, and I thought about, you know what? Because I actually booted up my Xbox with the intention of starting that today because I knew you were going to ask.
Yeah, well, I've just been playing it on my PS5 as well. I have every game on the PS5 because I totally
Every
have it.
game.
Every
games.
single game.
All the games.
Anyway,
There's a new
other
PS5
people.
Slim. The PS5 I thought was a toaster.
Well, for some, Mike was a tea set. Nick was a best of share compilation, but mine's the real one.
We had this discussion. This was just you cross-dressing as Cher. There's no shame in that.
Well,
I mean, let's call it what
it
it
is
was.
true on Wednesday nights I cross-dress as Cher, but this was a different thing entirely.
It looks like Scoop's here. It's good to see you, man. It's good to see you around the channel. Sharky, I don't.
I'm not a poser. I'm just a
You know
5,000th model. In the future, they replicated Tony Danza for reasons unknown to all science.
Each copy got a little bit more disassociated for the one that came before it. And so we ended up with
Right. until I like pizza, Steve.
Yeah.
I feel like we're in a bad episode of Multiplicity. You know what happens when you make a copy of a copy?
Can I have a monkey? I was more thinking that, there's a guy sitting on a chair with TV screens all around him. This is the 5,000th iteration of Tony Danza. Ergo, forthwith.
I'm this close to a drool cup, basically.
So it is the multiplicity theory. Got it.
Correct.
Exactly right.
It's also just me. I'm very close to a drool cup. Yeah.
Well, you usually are most of the time
Correct.
I'm talking to you. I'm like, when's the last time you slept? Oh, about 6 days ago, I think I passed out, and I'm like, for the love of...
Yeah. So, Rob,
What's up?
your turn. I talked.
Oh,
Yes.
What was the question? I missed it. I was not here for the
We're
question.
just checking to see what you guys have been up to. It's the same question I ask every time we do one of these. I know it's been a minute, but God.
What have I been doing this week? Christmas stuff. I finished up God of War Ragnarok a while ago. It was good. It was good. I confirm with what Panda said there. It is much better, much more enjoyable than the original one.
I need to get it.
If you love the last one,
I like the first one.
Like
I
I
did
was
like
gonna
the
say,
first
you
one.
were
You'll
a
still
big
love this.
then
fan
you
of
should
this new-
still like this one more.
I was gonna say,
Like
you weren't a
still,
big fan of
every
this
single
version.
complaint that I had about you get through it. Every complaint I had about the original one is still here, but just at a more tolerable degree.
Okay.
So it's not I'm glad it's done. I'm glad I don't have to. Oh, I'll stop there. I don't know if everyone's played the game, so
No, not yet.
No, I haven't yet. I beat the first
the
one.
gameplay was good.
Boy.
Yeah,
But
the gameplay was good,
I do
and the
want to-
story was really, really good.
good because that was my favorite part of the last one. Honestly,
Mine
was the
too.
Story.
So they definitely paid it off there. And
What's strange is he gets rid of the chains and his substitute is a whoopee cushion, which I found was like a really odd weapon choice for the. He's like, "Don't you want to sit on this, boy?"
Boy.
For Terminator 3, press 1. For Lord of the Rings, press 2. Is that it?
Why don't you just tell me what movie you want to see?
Finally placed Rob's voice, Mr. Movie Phone. That was you, wasn't it, Rob? For Terminator 3, press 1. For Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, press 2.
That's the PC mod.
Personally, I actually really enjoyed the reboot of God of War, but then I think it's the time period that I came in to play the original series, because those came in at the height of move from one room to another room, kill 1,000 guys, do a quick time event, move to next room. And that was like the height of gaming at that time. That was like the type of game to make. And I honestly struggled to love it this far past when it was at its height. Because I had very, I guess at this point, soured on QTE events and just going in a room and just having this endless wave of guys.
Was there a point where you loved QT events?
Not especially. I think the closest I came was Forced Unleashed, because that was how you finished all the boss fights, and it was really cinematic and fun looking, especially when you executed it properly. Probably the worst it was is I was playing, I want to say it was Halo 4 on Legendary with some buddies. And we got to the end boss, and it was just a QTE event. And I remember being so angry that not only was only one of us in control during the entire boss battle, but that the entire boss battle was just a QTE event. That I almost didn't buy another 343 game.
Wait a minute. So
again.
Still trying to process this. You got angry at a video game?
Whoa!
I know, it's shocking. It's shocking.
Shocker.
It's totally unheard of.
Fall apart right now. I gotta be
For my
honest.
channel, because I'm such a calm person. I make Eugene look angry. I'm so calm.
Wow.
Said no one ever in this universe or any parallel dimension.
I wish you kept up the sing-songy voice and kept that calm. Like, this game's got me miffed. You're like,
actually, that would. Be
oh, he's losing it.
That would be great if I could do that. That would be awesome.
The next person meant to be gets banned. I'm not kidding. The first time I experienced the quick time events was in Resident Evil 4, and I didn't love it there either. I don't know if anyone did. Scepter brings up a good point. I don't know if anyone did like the quick time events, so I don't know why it got kept up for so long.
It was a big part of the original trilogy, though. It seemed like every one of them had.
Yeah, like the God of War games, it was like punctuated constantly by quick time. It wasn't as bad as like Resident Evil 4. Like the whole Krauser battle, the first time you fought him was one big unexpected quick time event.
That sounds bad.
Mashup, which.
Well, Heavy Rain had quick time events, except it was like to shave. Like,
yeah, I never watched. I never played that game because I heard it's basically like quick time event, the game.
Oh,
so,
the best game ever.
Oh yeah, what was it like? Heavy Rain? Yeah. Isn't that what that one was, or something like that?
The game I just mentioned, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I didn't catch the name of it. That's why I was trying to catch it.
Hold on, he wants to make it his own. Let him do it.
I'm catching up to speed in my own
I've heard
very
good
slow
things.
way. It's fine. Woman Machine is upset that you torture her love, Man Machine. The fact that Man Machine might have a girlfriend is terrifying to me.
Why does Woman Machine have two eyebrows? Why does she have two different eyebrows?
You know what? Whatever. I'm just going with it. What's up, Cam?
Hey, it's Tony Dancer.
Oh, Shinmoy, I could see that. Yeah. Yeah, because you had to remember there was no time to react, so you had to memorize all the QTEs. and be able to execute them almost before they popped up on screen. I never went through that one. That one didn't look all that fun to me. But it's
Shenmue.
really rabid following.
So Shenmue was the best and worst game at the same time. It was basically a life simulator with some martial arts built into it.
I wish I could get good at martial arts by pressing triangle, square, circle, and that'd be great.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
Oh, it was a Dreamcast.
This was a Dreamcast game.
I know, dude. I corrected myself. Maybe on Tony Danza 5001, he'll get this be perfect. But just I've got to iron out the kinks a little bit.
You do that, Shenmue would be a Nintendo game.
You know
Shenmue,
what? You know,
look,
deconstructing a lot of those modern games is becoming a thing. Somebody mentioned why is there no demake of like Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9, and I'm like, you know what? Why haven't they done that yet? That'd actually be really cool.
Well, they did remaster Shenmue 1 and 2, and then, you know, you tried to do Shenmue 3. It just, the problem is that back in the day of the Dreamcast, Shenmue was very special. It was a different game. Nothing had been done like it at the time.
I'd agree with that.
It was, yeah, it had QTEs and stuff like that, but I mean, you got a job and you earned money and but you at the same time you got in fights and there was a story. There was a badass story to go along with it. But you know, everybody's doing this now. You know, you can't put Shenmue 3, for example, up against Death Stranding, right? They're walking simulators and stuff like that. You know.
There's a lot of walking simulators now. Death Stranding's just probably one of the more complicated ones, I say, with probably the most bizarro story. But then it is Kojima, so I expect like some sort of story that's not going to make sense for like 15 years, and then when I understand it, I'm going to go, "That's stupid."
Oh,
but at least it's entertaining.
You finished playing it because it was a beautiful, wonderful game, Ruby. That's why you finished it.
2D remake of Turtles in Time Reshelled.
Wah, wah, wah.
You know what? I honestly have done that for more and more games because sometimes they're asking for stuff and I'm just like, I just want to be able to play the game. I don't want to spend like 3 to 7 hours stuck on this one spot to realize there was a button over in the corner that I just couldn't see because of textures or for whatever other reason.
Games now do that. Dude, High on Life did that. I beat High on Life, but
I actually just started that today, and that game's really difficult to play if you have anybody else in a room. Because if they're talking, you miss so much dialogue.
Oh, and it's good, and it's dialogue that you don't want. Yeah. So I'm gonna give you something because I don't want you to run into the same issue as I do. It's not a spoiler per se, but it's something that you need to remember. Don't leave the High on Life store without the mag boots. That's all I'm going to tell you. And I'm telling you, if you you do what I did, it will be much tougher to beat the game, and you will miss an achievement. Which I don't typically go Chivo hunting, but it's one that. And the problem is, there's a couple of flaws in High on Life, but overall, High on Life is an amazing title. This is one flaw where if you're not eagle-eyed, you'll miss this one, and you'll end up not being able to go back and do it later.
Gotcha.
And it will cause you problems later.
I haven't gotten to the point where I can buy that. I literally got I finished the first bounty and started going for the second.
You don't buy them. You don't buy them. It's part. All I'll say is it's a piece of the story, and if you miss it, you can't go back and get it later.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, that's all I'm saying.
So you should just terminate your YouTube channel if you do that, Nick. Just
people tell me that all the time. So, Rob and Tony Danza have gone. Mike, I know you were planning a trip, and that kind of got put on hiatus.
Yeah.
To our benefit and to your disappointment, of course.
Well, all right. Yeah. So we were supposed to depart on the Harmony of the Seas on Saturday for a 7-day Caribbean cruise.
Extravaganza?
Yeah. To celebrate Seth's bar mitzvah that he just crushed. However, my oldest came down with the flu 5 days before, and it lasted till Saturday, which would have been fine. We would have still gone, and he'd have been okay by the time we boarded, except Seth got the flu and strep, and we took him that morning, the morning we were supposed to fly down to Florida. And and we were like, well, we can't. Everybody in the house got sick but me. I barricaded myself down here. And
What's up, 21 Sandwich?
That's a good dad. You stay away from the family members, barricading yourself playing video games. Good on you, Dad.
Yep.
Everybody
Pro
understood
level
it.
parenting.
Hey, in the end, I'm the one who was able to take care of everybody because my wife got sick too. So
You should have went on the cruise. Just by yourself.
And got
For the family.
Yeah.
For the good of the family.
we were very bummed out on Friday.
I'm
I was
doing
very
this for
bummed out
you.
on Saturday. I was kind of bummed out on Sunday, and then as we were talking about it, we booked this thing pretty much simply because it was like shortly after Seth's bar mitzvah, so we were like, all right, December. Thinking about it, not going now, we're now looking at a cruise in June right after school, and we realized we are going to be able to do so much more and have such a better time. My cousin ended up on that cruise, and she was telling us in text, it's kind of chilly on the boat. It's only about 60, 65 degrees till they get to Puerto Rico. So we couldn't have done all the stuff that's on the boat, like the water slides and crap like that and things. We had to cancel one of our excursions in the Bahamas because it was only going to be like 70 degrees and we weren't going to go in the water in that. So the more we started looking at it, we're like, okay, so we missed this. It sucks. But we got travel insurance. So we got the trip insurance, so we'll get like 90% of it back. We're going to end up taking a cruise that's going to not make us fly down to Florida. We're going to have to drive to Jersey, and it's going to be cheaper, and it's going to be better, and it's going to be in the summertime when it's warm. So I'm okay now.
You do know that everyone's going to be able to go except you on the next one, right? Like, you're coming down with the flu, correct?
Yep. I'm going to get
I called
COVID.
it.
I'm getting COVID before the cruise. So that's what's happening to me. But no, we were unfortunately. So that was my weekend, was just kind of sitting around playing Vampire Survivors, finishing High on Life, binge watching The Sopranos.
Oh, you're still doing that?
I had never seen The Sopranos, and I was like, you know what? Let me try it out. And now I'm binge watching it. I'm midway through season 2.
I never started The Sopranos. It's one of those shows that I
It's
heard the
good.
ending of it before I ever started it, and because everybody was talking about it around that time, right? So it was impossible not to, right? So it was just kind of one of those things. What's up, Tommy? Good to see you.
It's an absolutely excellent show. I'm enjoying it very much. So
Yeah, like I said, most of my week's basically been just kind of keeping an eye on work. Dyer just popped in the house. What's up, Dyer? Good to see you, man.
What's up, Dyer?
So I was doing a few games and stuff like that here and there, and prepping for holiday stuff and things like that. Nothing too major on my end. I've been slowly kind of pushing my way through Tunic, which is a great game, but it's definitely a Souls game. And Souls games are not my forte. What's up, Taters? So I'm having to take that one kind of slow and keep a couple other games going, because I can only push so far in those games before I need to just take a break. I have to treat it a lot like I treated Cuphead, which I managed to beat, but I'd push through like a stage and then I'd stop. And I'd go do something else because it's just like too stressful and too frustrating at a point to really push too hard on them, which is that's one of the things that always frustrates me about those kinds of games, is they're the kind of games that are just intentionally, like, you either love the beat it over your head and you just kind of thrive on that, or you're doing it in fits and spurts just to try to make it through the game because you like it, but it just really you're getting more angry at it than you are having fun with it at a certain point, right? At least in my headspace, a lot of times. What's up, Alpha? Good to see you. So I may be the only one with that. So I had Subnautica Below Zero as one of the games I was using on that, and that kind of became like my focus game more than a side game because I always felt like I could pick that up and do stuff with it. Whereas Tunic, I would die like a dozen times and then not get anywhere, and then come back to it and die a dozen times. So I think I'm about maybe 50% of the way through Tunic right now. Because I was like, this will be a neat little Zelda game, and then I started playing it, and I'm like, why is everything one-shotting me? What is going on?
Isn't that where you're like adorable little fox?
Yes.
And that game is
you're
hard?
You're basically a fox version of Link for all intents and purposes.
But it's harder. It's.
I watched someone talk about it, and they said basically, yeah, it is kind of it's like kind of a cutesy version of a cross between Zelda and the Souls games.
Wow.
But it's also supposed to like kind of harken back to the old days of video games where you actually had to look stuff up because nothing was actually explained to you. What's up, Scrambles?
And they intentionally did
kind of that sold it for me actually.
There's no the digital manual is assembled by you in the game, so you'll find pages of it. But the problem is it's all in like this glyph language that you have no way of translating. Like there's no correlation anywhere where you can start to translate the pages. So there'll be certain words that will be translated, and that's supposed to give you enough of a clue to understand what's going on. And so the idea is that certain people will sort of understand parts of the manual, and other people will understand other parts of the manual. And it's kind of like Rob said, it's supposed to be kind of a shared community thing where you definitely look things up because certain people are going to catch on to things that you're not, or they're going to find something you didn't.
So you're looking for the manual of how to play, but it's in a different fake language?
Yes.
I hope that at the very end of the game you get the last page and it just says like push the rock at the start screen to win, and then that's it.
Except for it's Tunic. What's the name of the game we're talking about?
Tunic.
Tunic.
Tunic, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's in Game Pass.
Yeah, and it's pretty cheap just on its own. I think it's like a $20 game or something like that. It's not a very expensive game, and it's got all of the Link to the Past feels as far as like the world and the animations and stuff like the Link's Awakening on Switch and just Link to the Past kind of feel to it. It's just brutally hard. Like literally the second boss can probably kill you in like 2 hits.
What's the hardest modern game you played?
The hardest what
Modern.
game?
Yeah, like
modern game?
5-10 years.
The hardest 2 that I played in recent years would probably be one that I beat and one that I put down because I was just beating my head and getting nowhere. One was Cuphead. I made it through that one. That one took me about 17 hours. A lot of deaths in that one. Very hard game. A lot of fun. Loved the art style.
Yeah, that is
art
not.
style,
Yeah,
art style alone would have pulled me through that game.
Mm.
It's so well done. And then Demon's Souls.
Yeah.
That game was so hard. I dumped 40 hours in it, and I think I beat 2 bosses.
Would you go back?
Find a way to punch through that game.
Would
I
you go
just
back
don't
to do the? Would you go back to do the DLC for Cuphead?
Maybe, but the problem is I want to sit down and play through the game again because I'm so rusty at it that I need to at least play through part of the main game again because the DLC came out like almost a year and a half after I beat the game.
My wife.
And I didn't beat it when it was new. I waited like a year.
My wife got me the Switch version of the Cuphead, and it has the what's up, CM? And it has the DLC included also. So I'm pretty excited to get into that.
I think you will have a much easier time on that game, quite frankly, Rob. Because
I've played through the half of Cuphead. It's kind of my kind of games. I mean, it's a quintessential just one more try kind of game.
Yeah.
I burned through half of it probably in the first night, and then for whatever reason, I think the kids started playing it, and so I kind of got distracted. I just never went back to it.
I think your propensity for doing like shoot 'em ups and stuff like that, because there's a bunch of plane stages in there. Mm-hmm. There's a couple of run and gun stages on there. I think because of your prior experience with stuff like Gradius and all that, you would probably be able to tear through those. Moderate difficulty, not nearly as hard as somebody like, say, me trying to make it through.
Like I died a lot, but that it doesn't really bother me in that kind of game because
it's not Souls-like in that way.
No,
yeah,
it's not.
It's just hard as F.
No, Born, did you say something? Did I miss a joke?
Born said it. Did I miss it?
Switch Pro, aka Wii 4, coming soon.
Oh, is that what he said?
Yes.
Okay, because I thought I was keeping my own comments, but I guess I missed it. There it is. Switch Pro, aka Wii 4 coming soon. Yeah, there it is.
Born, I'm sorry if I didn't catch something you said. I feel like I
do better, Rob. Do better.
Yeah,
Rob said he got distracted.
Yes.
Rob. Okay, now I got it. Rob did not get me. So you gotta emphasize the word. Me.
There we go. Okay. Wow, I'm dense today.
All right.
No, it's gonna
Nick, you should probably give up your YouTube channel.
Not for lack of trying.
It's gonna be a rough week, and I should probably give up my YouTube channel.
There we go.
That's fine. But no, the thing I liked the most about a game like Cuphead that I wish more games would kind of do is, especially on like the boss rush battles, when you finish, it shows you like pittance on the progress.
That's why it's so.
And I think that's what made it so addictive for me.
Yeah,
is I could see I was slowly getting better.
I was watching some. Sorry, I'm messing with my lights right now. I was watching some kind of interesting documentary on the art of making an addictive game, and I think the Japanese have actually nailed it with their arcade games. But it's the balance of giving the player the near misses, just enough near misses where they actually see how close they came. Yes.
You really do. The death counter's just.
But my feelings never got hurt because it was like I was so close. I gotta try again. So, but yes, it's that progress bar. It's the near miss. That mentality just makes most people just want to keep on plugging the next token in.
Yeah, and I think that's really what kind of kept me going on that. Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, there were times where I was losing it, but honestly, that's and I need to try to play games like that more often. And the reason is because games like that, I don't make progress when I get angry. So it's kind of pushing myself to think when I start getting angry and try to pull it back just a little bit so I can keep playing to try to beat it. Because Cuphead, it was very apparent when I got angry because like my progress would just tank, and you could tell. Like my gameplay would get so bad, and I'd be like, okay, I need to stop for a second, or I need to pause, go get a drink, come back, and try this again. Because anytime I sat down, I tried to beat like a stage, right? That was my goal. Like whatever stage I was on, I'll beat this stage, and then I'll go play something else for a little while, right? Because I managed to punch through that stage. And punching through a stage in a game, it's kind of like when you're initially starting to play Mega Man games. Like beating a stage is like a big deal because they're all hard, right? Compared to a normal game, they're all hard, right? So you beat a stage, and that's a freaking accomplishment right there. You know, you pat yourself on the back a little bit, and you realize you got like 9 more. You go, okay, here we go.
See, this is news to everyone. I mean, this is
Yeah,
like
I
a
know,
groundbreaking. I know why this is coming out so late.
Yeah, I don't know. Part of my New Year's resolution is that,
like
and
none of us
I know
really
you guys
do.
like watching me get angry, but part of my New Year's resolution is and it's always that way, is to try to be a little bit better this
Do
year,
what I
next
told you
year
to do.
about not doing it.
Sing songy anger. Boy, this game's really chapping my patootie. Like that. I want you to be like
chapping my patootie.
Speaking of
to
chapping my
darn it.
patootie. Speaking of chapping my patootie, Mike, you should put the microphone closer while you're eating. To like try it maybe closer down.
Yeah, be like Tyler Durden.
I'd like to. I just want to let you guys know that I'm
Thank
snacking.
you for that, Panda.
I'm doing well. Yeah.
I didn't think you could actually hear me. Damn.
Oh, we can hear it.
I will start muting.
You see me get angry. What were they thinking? I say that a lot, actually.
At first, I thought it was static. Like,
what's funny is when I don't get angry on stream, that's when I lose viewership like crazy. Like Voodoo Vince has been kind of a minimal anger stream, and like nobody cares. Like nobody's watching it. They're like, yeah, that's important.
I don't think it's, but it's okay. All right, so hold on. I don't think it's that. As much as I love those original Xbox games, the Voodoo Vince, Blinks the Cat, you know, all those. Voodoo Vince is not a high interest game for the game community these days. It's sad, but it's just not.
What's funny is people and go ahead and finish.
Here's what you're wrong, Mike.
I have some thoughts on that.
Well, you could. I mean, look, if he was streaming Fortnite, he'd have a million.
Oh God, nobody wants to see me stream Fortnite.
Yes, we do. Yeah, we gotta do.
I can't stand Fortnite.
I know, but we would.
I've tried it like 3 or 4 times, and it's just painful to play. It's so not fun.
I want you to play Fortnite, but with like a different language setting, like just to really get you cranked.
That, you know what? That would make about as much. It would translate about as well as anything in Fortnite translates to me, which is to say it doesn't.
Okay.
I'm told it's better, at least for people like that have my mentality toward it, because I didn't really enjoy the building, right? I never really got a feel for it, and I never really wanted to get a feel for it.
It's a strange time to build things in the middle of a war zone. That's an odd time to pick up a hammer and a.
Yeah, and I know it's a major part of the game, and I understand that and respect the people that can do that, but I just never really got into it. And anytime I tried to jump in the middle and like really just kind of like, you know, jump in the middle of the fray in a heavy combat area, no sooner did I land with my parachute than somebody would shotgun me down, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So the best I ever did on that game is I landed on the outskirts. It basically hid till the very, very end, and there was like 4 of us left, and I got like 1 kill. So I was in the top 3. That was my big Fortnite claim to fame, and it was the most boring time I've ever had in my life.
I dare you to make a Fortnite channel. Like, just change your channel to Fortnite only.
You know what? It might actually
and like talk like the
Geeks
kids
with
do.
Fortnite.
It actually
Wear a
might make this
headband and
channel
crap.
go
Yo,
better
what's
because-
up? What's poppin', kids? Like that. Like start talking. Like,
What's poppin', kids?
A little bit of dubstep in the background.
yeah, exactly. Really loud fluorescent lights just blaring all the time.
What's
Please
happening,
do that.
fellow kid?
Yeah, what's up?
See, Ruby's got my mentality. She's always hiding in a bush.
Towards the middle,
Somewhere
right?
in the middle of the
That's
play
the
zone.
See, the one that I want to go back to, the one game I actually do want to go back to that kind of started that whole evolution was PUBG.
Oh, okay.
And nobody, I used to think nobody played that anymore, but I know a ton of people that still play PUBG. And now they're not doing anything new with it, but at least it's a lot more stable than when it first came out on the Xbox.
Fun fact, PUBG style games didn't actually start with PUBG. They started on, I think it was a mod for Minecraft for Hunger Games.
Interesting. Well, that makes sense why it's so Hunger Games-esque.
Yeah, the whole mode is supposed to be very much like the Hunger Games.
You're right. That's right.
And then people took that mode and they made its own genre. Made after the first one that really popularized it outside the mod scene, which was PUBG.
You sound underwater, Nick.
Wow.
I do? Okay.
Yeah, now you're okay again.
Oh, okay. I probably leaned a little bit too far away from it.
There you go.
Seems like all the great games were mods of some other game. You know,
in a lot of ways, yes. Yeah. But I found that one kind of interesting because I didn't even know there was a mod for that in Minecraft. But I should have guessed there was because that's what half the Minecraft community is made out of is various different mods. Right?
I think it makes sense that they're mods because the fan base is always going to be more creative than a corporation because they don't have to worry about making a corporate product. So they can do these wild out there ideas, and a corporation can latch onto it and corporify it. Is that a word? I don't think so. But
well,
you know what I mean.
that's how Dota came about too, because that was a mod in Warcraft 3 to let heroes fight each other, and then they just decided to take that hero battle concept that people were already doing in the game anyway and make a game out of it. So that's how a lot of that came about too. Now that I bored everybody.
Yeah.
Yay!
I was not aware of that.
Podcast over.
Yay!
Well, good night, everyone. So, what we were so we were talking about games that Rob was about to tell me why Voodoo Vince should be getting hundreds of live views.
No, I was making the joke that was what Nick was about to do.
Right.
Oh,
So.
gotcha.
Oh, God.
Here's the thing about that.
No.
Yeah, the interesting thing is you're dead wrong.
The slight defense for Voodoo Vince and games like that is more the tongue-in-cheek humor, the tongue-in-cheek satirical humor that's in them is now kind of starting to come a little bit more back in vogue. Because you see a lot of it in High on Life. Like, I see a lot of, like, Psychonauts and Voodoo Vince and stuff like that in High on Life. That kind of whole era of that almost self-depreciating humor that's kind of coming back into vogue a little bit again. It's not that it should make Voodoo Vince more well-received than it is. I like it, but I understand I'm in a minority on it. That's fine. I thought it was a cute, fun premise, and I enjoyed it. I
liked it, too. I mean, that was my point. I was like, few and far between. It's funny you say that because it also depends on the game itself. A lot of people took that opposite opinion with Sunset Overdrive, which had a lot of that kind of humor in it.
I liked it, but a lot of people thought it was too
hipster.
Yesterday's news and too hipster. Yeah, it was too on the nose. I think for most people, it didn't have any.
The art style was nice, so I really like the art.
I love the art style.
I actually like Sunset Overdrive. I think it's a very fun game.
I beat it. I thought it was a great game.
Yeah, I had a blast with it. So I enjoyed it. I don't think
I even got
as
all
much
the.
as I did Saints Row 4, but it was a very fun game.
Now, see, Saints Row 4 though, there's doing it and there's overdoing it. Saints Row 4 like put it into 12th gear.
It just went ludicrous speed. I love it. It was so dumb. It was so dumb. Like, I didn't even get in a car after, like, I want to say a fourth of the game. I'm like, why would I bother to get in a car? I can outrun all the cars. Why am I getting in a car?
Waves and games. I actually don't know what we're talking about, but I heard hipster and I jumped in.
When did that Voodoo Vince come out? It was a somewhat recent game.
It's got to be.
The remaster was a couple of years ago. I want to say it was like 2019, like right before the pandemic is when they released the remaster.
Okay, well,
the original was like on the OG Xbox.
Yeah, it was like 03.
Yeah.
What I also see happening, which is kind of strange to me, but the Nintendo. This is for you too, Peter. The Nintendo 64/PS1 era 3D platformers. That style of game seems like it's starting to kind of come back a little bit with like the ukulele and the
a little bit,
and the Hat in Time. There's like a bunch of games that are actually like
super
very specifically modeled in that style. And
and there's been a couple N64 styled ones that are indie style
that's exactly
games.
what I'm saying. So it's like that. I think that's partly also what that Voodoo Vince is hitting because he also talks like Gex, for better or worse.
Yeah, he's got a lot of that same kind of almost like flat delivery kind of personality thing.
I just feel like a corny joke every couple seconds to keep the silence from creeping in. Always has some comment about every enemy he's killed and how cool he is.
Yes. And it gets to be there are times where it gets to be a bit much. I mean, it's a little Bubsy, I think, had that problem as well.
Bubsy had a lot of problems.
Yeah, Bubsy had a lot of technical issues.
Had a lot of problems.
But there was a lot of personality problems with the character itself, too.
Yes.
And I could see people having that kind of problem with Voodoo Vince. I don't know. I've done a bit of grinding on that offline just to kind of make sure that I don't have to... Like, I want to have, like, more opportunities to use the Voodoo powers and life through the game and stuff like that. But I don't want to do the grind-a-thon type stuff on stream. So I'm doing some of that off-stream on stages that I've already played. That way I'm not revisiting them all the time.
High on Life really, though, had that.
Hey, Fiery Dragon. Good to see you, man.
Fiery Dragon.
Thanks for coming by.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
I mean, High on Life does it, but High on Life does it in a very rated M for mature way.
Yeah, and High on Life is one that I could see annoying the crap out of people in the same way. Primarily because, and I was glad they mentioned it, that in the settings you can tone that down. I haven't. but the weapons talk all the time.
Yes.
Like,
well, and
all
see,
the time.
the main guy gets annoying, but the other guns are great. Like Gus, of course.
I
Gus
haven't gotten Gus yet. I've just
All
got
right.
the first gun and the knife, and
All
that's
right.
it. That's as far as I've gotten.
Well, the knifey is hilarious.
Yeah, I absolutely stabbed his previous owner the first chance I got. I was like,
Yes, and you get an achievement for that.
I just did it because it was fun. I didn't.
Oh yeah, I wanted to do it too. I was like, I
It was
wasn't
kind
even
of like
gonna.
shooting the kid that kept calling me like fresh meat. I'm like, I just
Yes.
kept pulling the trigger just because it was annoying. I'm like, this is so cliche and annoying. I kind of want to shoot him. And he's
all
like,
of a
fine,
sudden-
bam! And I'm like, that was awesome. And then I remembered that was in the trailer, and I'm like, oh yeah, I should have remembered I could do that. But it was still really funny.
And you got an achievement for it.
Yeah.
So I mean, all right. So it's not a secret because he's in the credits. Gus is voiced by JB Smoove.
Oh, that. Why do I
He
feel like
is-
I should know that name?
He's from Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, I
okay,
knew
see,
him- I
never
know him
watched
from
Curb Your
Curb.
Enthusiasm, so that doesn't
He's
mean
been
much
in
to me.
he's been in a ton of stuff. He's trying to think what else he's been in that's mainstream, but I see him in a ton of stuff.
Stabbing achievements, teaching the kids.
Yeah.
Wave saw the short on High in Life, and he saw the 60 seconds and didn't even want to play it. And I can kind of see that.
Yeah,
I-
but
I
it's
can-
My life has been very big on Twitter lately. I noticed I've been seeing.
Yeah, it's. I was looking forward to it when I saw it first shown, right? And I'm like, this looks like something I'll have fun with. And everybody else was just downplaying it and wondering where their Assassin's Creed and where the Call of Duty was. And I'm like, this is more the kind of stuff I want. Do something a little bit different. Do something with some more personality and some more character. It didn't necessarily have to be this, but at least it's trying to do. It's got a similar feel to other things, but at least it's trying to do it in kind of a new way, right? So give me more of that. Whatever that is, if you're just trying it and it works, great. If it doesn't, fine. At least you tried it, and I want to pick it up and play it to say I gave it a shot because it's something different. Because if you don't support the things that are different, you're not going to get anything that's different. Our movie scene currently is that way. A lot of our video gaming scene currently is that way. It's a lot of people playing things safe and playing into the same tropes a lot. Not that that hasn't been common throughout the life of video games, but it feels more pertinent today than it has been in a while, right? It's kind of why the Dreamcast, why I love it so much, is because even though stuff like Shenmue and was the Seaman I didn't really care for, I was glad they were there. Because it's something goofy and crazy and stupid that somebody wanted to put on there, and Sega went, sure! And it was on the system, and I love that, because it's different, right?
It's not the Sega of today, though.
I know, but we need more of that, right? And for my first take into the new year, that's what I'd like to see, is more of that. If it's
Like
not for me,
Mosquito.
that's fine. But try something different, right? More something different. It might become something cool and new. And honestly, indie developers try that more often than not, which is why I'm a big fan of supporting your indie developers.
Yep.
If you don't like it, it costs you $10-20.
A couple
most of
guys
the
got
time.
into a room and said, what if we just let people power wash things? Let's make that a game.
Yeah. Well, Power Wash Simulator is by Square. So,
Is it?
yes. Square Enix.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, it's Square Enix. It took off of the house renovator and all
Right.
that, where you like cleaned it, and
Well, I
then
mean,
there was another one where you played a guy that like mopped up, like looked like Doom Guy come through and killed everything, and he was the guy that got
Well,
stuck
okay, it was
cleaning
developed
up.
by Future Lab and published by Square Enix Collective. Technically, it's like it's like in the EA creators program kind of thing, like the guy who created It Takes Two, one guy. So in a way, it's kind of sort of an indie game. So I'll give you a.
Scrambles.
There you go, Scrambles. There you go. All right. So I'll give you a better example. Goat Simulator.
Yeah, that was another one that nobody really expected much out of. The physics are all broken and goofy.
And now there's a third one. That's
And
how,
now there's
that's
a
how
third
popular it is.
Yeah, it's been so popular. So, more stuff like that. I'd also like to see I would love to see like some more old school Contra stuff pop in. Blazing Chrome was probably the last one I remember being real big like that I've seen. I think there's probably been a couple other on the indie scene that I haven't seen a lot of, but stuff that would kind of revitalize that concept I think would be great, because it's such a tight gameplay type, and it's so fun when you can get in the flow of it. And even when you lose on it, it's because you just kind of sucked at that part, and you know that it's doable. It's just a matter of getting the timing down, right? So it's more stuff like that. I expected Rob to be all over that, but he's like totally zoned out on me.
Yeah,
I lost Rob.
My question, I was waiting for an opportunity to ask you, Nick, was what games are coming out next year that you're actually looking forward to? I
honestly haven't looked very far ahead, and I don't own the gaming scene anymore. It seems like
I only know of one game coming out next year, and I will probably get it, and that would of course be the Resident Evil 4 remake, which I'm firmly against. They should not be remaking Resident Evil 4. I will still get Capcom money for it though. So,
hey Rob, can I ask you a quick question?
No,
I'm going to ask it
anyway. So Nick, I was going
no, go ahead.
No. I already knew the answer.
No, you may not.
If you had a choice to make 1 instead of 4, would you have wanted that?
I guess so. I mean, that's. I guess if you're going to remake another, and they seem intent on remaking all of them, but if you're going to make one that was still in the old style Resident Evil. I know Resident Evil 1 already got the remake, which was great, but I figured that they would remake the first one and then Code Veronica. It's just that they remade Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 to be more like the gameplay from Resident Evil 4, and now they're remaking Resident Evil 4 to be more like the remakes of Resident Evil 2 and 3. Those are great looking games. It just seemed like kind of like a redundant game to remake when they could have. I know Leon Kennedy, you want to continue that storyline, you can come back to that model, I guess. But I guess yes. I would rather have seen a Resident Evil 1 remake than that made more sense.
I would like that.
I don't know. I need to try some of the Resident Evil remakes. You guys know well. It's well known on this channel my first experience with that, and I feel like I need to give it another shot. Just to see if I can get more into it.
I can't see you liking them.
It seems like something I feel like I probably should like, though.
Why?
I don't know. In my head, it just seems like the kind of game that I might actually enjoy. Because it doesn't have to be super fast paced. It's kind of methodical. The only thing I don't like is the limited save. The main thing I wouldn't like would be the limited save system.
Did you like Alone in the Dark?
I don't think I ever messed with Alone in the Dark.
All right.
I don't know. Like I said, if I found one on the cheap, I might pick it up. Because I'm sure they're going to drop in price. But to come back to your question, Rob, I was looking through what's coming out, and I had forgotten some of these were coming out. Forspoken has looked interesting to me for a while. So I'm curious to see more on that one.
You can play a trial of that.
I need to grab it, because it looks like it would be fun. Hogwarts Legacy looks like it might be fun. Atomic Heart is one I've kind of followed on the indie scene for a while.
Isn't Hogwarts going to just be like an in-app purchase fest? Isn't that like what?
I hope not. That's going to be hugely disappointing if I hear that out of it.
I can't imagine it wouldn't be.
That'll be massively disappointing.
Like an in-app like it's going to be just like buy chests.
In-app. You're talking about microtransaction.
Yeah.
I don't know what to make of that game. I really don't. I don't know what to make of it. It feels like an MMO. I know it's an RPG. I know it's an action RPG, but the whole open world thing, I don't know. I'm not one of the millions of people they're like pining for this for day one.
Hogwarts looks interesting just because I really enjoyed the books. I really enjoyed the movies. So
I did too.
I thought I would enjoy spending more time in that world personally, and there's not been as many opportunities lately to do that. And it looks pretty solid, but I haven't heard much about like the microtransactions.
They're
and
good.
stuff
I
that are going on.
guarantee it. It's Warner Brothers.
So that's going to be hugely disappointing. I
Promise.
was originally looking really forward to Diablo 4, despite all the mess that goes around constantly with Blizzard these days. But when they said it was basically going to be like open server where you're always going to have like 4 to 8 people in your world, regardless of what you're doing, that really killed my enthusiasm because that's not what I want out of Diablo.
Yeah.
I want to be able to set up private game sessions and invite in who I want to invite in. I don't want to be running around trying to complete a quest and some guy to come through and kill everything and then just be a total jerk because I know that's what's going to happen because I know Blizzard's community. I spent like 20 years in it. It's a terrible community that I go out of my way to avoid these days. I don't want anything to do with it. And so I'm going to be forced to interact with it heavily in that game, which is going to make me very sad. And despite everything, I really kind of want to play Street Fighter 6. And I know I'll buy it and probably spend 3 months and not playing it, but I still want it because it looks fun.
Right.
Panda, what about you? Are there any games coming out that you...
Well, my new PlayStation 5 that I totally own.
With your new PlayStation 5?
That I totally own. Well, is like Spider-Man 2 coming out? I like those games. I
thought so, but I don't know when.
Fall.
There you go.
Is it?
So
Okay.
that.
Yep.
I love all the Sony first party stuff, like the Uncharted, like those kind of games, like heavy story.
Well, and they're
those are my
really
kind of
good from a cinematic perspective usually
Sure.
too.
Sure. Yeah, so I have. That's probably it. There's another big game that's coming out. Isn't like a Final Fantasy coming out or something like that?
Yeah, there's a
like-
Final Fantasy 16 I think coming out.
Yeah, and then is 7 remake out?
Oh, it's been out for a while.
Yeah, well,
There's
in
another
multiple
one.
parts.
There's
is the
another
thing.
one.
Oh no, not part 2. No. That's like for another 40 years or something like that.
They keep doing random tangents that they can pump out faster.
Yeah, it's I can't keep up.
I'd say the PSVR 2 is something I'm really looking forward to with the money I don't have. But that and then
Yeah.
Horizon VR like that.
What's up, Sippy?
Absolutely. That
And honestly, I'd like to see VR really kind of make a big mainstream splash finally.
It's
And
not
they've
gonna
tried.
at that price.
I
feel
have
like
a
Sony-
theory. Who here wears glasses? So Rob and I wear glasses. Nick, do you wear glasses?
I don't yet. I
Mike,
probably
do you wear
will in
glasses?
like a
I'm
year or
gonna
two,
need
but
them
not
soon.
yet.
I wear them for watching TV. I'm gonna need them soon.
So I have this running theory that is probably very wrong, but that the reason why VR and everything hasn't taken off the same way like 3D glasses in a movie theater is I don't think the average person likes putting things on their face because they have perfectly working eyes. People like us who've worn glasses their whole lives, we're used to putting something on that enhances our vision. So it's just like, oh, cool. I can put this on and I get to see a movie in 3D or I get to see a 3D world with VR. I think most people don't like wearing stuff, especially when they have to wear stuff and it costs $600.
Well, and it has to connect to something else. I think that the exception to that rule has been the Oculus Quest or Meta Quest, whatever the frick they want to call it now. I think that is different in that it's number one, it connects to your Facebook, so all these people
I
have
hate that
Facebook.
part.
I know, and it doesn't require you hooking up to anything to play. So PSVR 2, PSVR, even like the Vive and stuff, it all needed something to plug into. So you not only need to buy a PSVR 2, but if you don't own a PS5, now you need to spend $1,200 to get your VR experience, plus whatever the games are. It doesn't come with any games. And it's not backward compatible with any of the PSVR games that you already own if you own.
See, that was probably their worst. That was one of their worst moves.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, because it should have been backwards compatible with all of those. And what's funny is you're now starting to see some of those hit the Quest.
Well, you could
Like
barely...
Iron Man is hitting the Quest. They're making a
Yeah.
big deal about it dropping on there. And that was a PlayStation exclusive for a long time.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not going to be mainstream until the mainstream can actually buy it without, I mean, I think if anything's going to bring it mainstream, it's still going to be Meta. And I hate saying that
What a horrible thing to say.
I think it's.
Know. I don't disagree with you there, but I think that's
meta's bombing though.
I was about to say, if that's the case, I think it's dead because even John Carmack's like,
it's over. And I'm telling you, people would be more likely. I'm telling you, my theory is right. The average person would be way more on board of putting a gosh darn microchip in their head and seeing things in a video game form than actually wearing something. The average person hates wearing things. They hate it. I love it. It's wonderful. I love VR stuff.
See, I'll kind of chime in on that. Like, I'm not saying this is the only reason that VR doesn't appeal to me, but I don't like actually having the rest of the world blocked out as I'm wearing the VR headset. And it's probably because I watch probably a little too much like true crime and stuff on YouTube. But I don't like the idea of not knowing what's going on in the world around me. So it's very easy for me
some
to
of them have
imagine at least one of my kids sneaking up and scaring the shit out of me, or an actual axe murder coming to my house and killing me before I even know he's there. So
they have a pass-through mode that lets you see outside of the headset.
Yeah, you can see outside.
Yeah. But when you're playing the game, that's obviously not going to pop up. When you're playing the game, it's even with Nicole there. Sometimes it's hard to tell where she is in relation to where I'm at. Sometimes it's hard to hear her because of like the speakers and stuff like that are on. Even the ones that are on the Quest 2, which aren't like noise dampening in any way. So sometimes it's a little bit of a struggle. And some of the games I've gotten into and some of the games I really haven't explored it as much. I play a lot of Beat Saber. I've played a decent amount of Pistol Whip, and those are all much older games.
Have you ever played Resident Evil in VR? Because that's pajamas.
I haven't.
So good.
I hadn't gotten into Resident Evil anyway, so playing Resident Evil 7 in VR didn't seem appealing to me in any way because I wasn't. Yeah, it's like I said, it's one of those genres I've not been into. Series, I should say. I'm not big on zombie games in general. I thought they were overplayed before everybody started getting tired of them.
It's not really so much. Resident Evil 7 is not too much a zombie game.
It's not so much zombies. No, it's not.
But they also had what's that game? With the something Jack. What is that damn game?
Samurai Jack?
No. I'll think of it. That they made entirely on VR and PlayStation. I'm just trying to remember the hell he's like he's doing this on the cover. So get rid of the Jack.
Borderlands?
Borderlands, thank you.
Oh, no, I haven't tried Borderlands in VR. That seems like a weird experience for me in VR. I did pick up Boneworks, but I haven't started it. I need to give that one more of a shake.
I had forgotten that was a thing.
Yeah, they did a VR version of that. They did a VR version of Hitman.
Doom was great
too. Well, but I don't know that it ever hit PC.
Doom was great. Moss was great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Squadron.
Rogue Squadron. I can't tell you how many times I vomited on myself. It was just pouring out of me as I was playing the game.
That one looked very difficult to play in VR. The ones that I don't like in VR, and it's ones a lot of people love, is I have to use a standard controller while I'm playing VR, and I don't like that for whatever reason. I want to use the VR controllers when I'm playing VR.
Yeah.
I don't want to wear a headset and use a regular controller.
Sure.
I have to do that with like Tetris Effect, and I understand that's better for Tetris, but like, couldn't you just let me use the analog or something like that on the VR control stick or something like that, or swipe on the pad or something like anything to let me like play this game that way instead of.
That's what I liked about Iron Man VR was that you could use the Move controllers, and so when you wanted to fly, you actually had to hold your hands down, and when you're actually trying to shoot somebody, you have to push your arms out. There's things that you had to do.
Did you play Doom with the big gun? Because that was hella awesome, dog.
I did not have the gun. And what was the game? Farpoint?
Yeah. Are you talking about the one that came with the controller, like with that big gun attached?
Yeah, but I was able to buy a copy of it without the gun.
Oh, then you're missing out, man. That gun was awesome.
I am, but that one also.
I actually played with a real gun. I was shooting out in the name. It was awesome.
That one actually made me physically ill. Like after a half hour.
Did you play Squadron?
No.
I didn't know I had that much liquid in my body.
Dude, I had trouble. I honestly had trouble with Boneworks with the movement.
What's that? I haven't even heard of that.
Boneworks was almost like they wanted to make a Half-Life Alyx style game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But they wanted to make a Half-Life game, and then Valve said no. And they went ahead and made the game that they wanted to make. Anyway, It just wasn't a Half-Life game. But when you move in that, you could do it from a seated position of where you're moving around, but you move like a normal FPS in that game.
Yeah.
And that is very hard to do when you're not used to moving in VR. I found myself bracing and kind of leaning forward to keep me from feeling off balance while I was running. And you could change it to the teleporting way, but it feels wrong to do it that way when you have the option to actually move.
Yeah.
Because most games will have you teleport. Even Alex has you basically teleporting, right?
Doom, you could run as just total Doom.
Oh, see, I heard that one was like more teleporting.
No, you have that option, but you can turn that off.
Right.
Oh, okay. I may pick that one up then.
So you can shoot zombies and vomit all at the same time. Just keep puking and shooting.
I'll tell you another great game which used the Move controllers. The Until Dawn.
Oh, that one was amazing.
That was
roller
crazy.
coaster one.
Yes, that was crazy.
That's the best game to have when you have friends over.
I heard Sunshine, Arizona was really good. There was it Saints and Sinners? It was like
Saints and Sinners, which was pretty good.
I heard that one was really good. But those were both kind of zombie games.
That's more. There's that one that was the heist. Like they made the full game of the heist. Mike, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that was
Blood and
Truth.
Blood and Truth. That's way more fun watching your friends look like absolute a-holes.
Yeah.
As they're ducking under their couch and they're doing this all day, and you throw popcorn at them and laugh.
Yes. Ace Combat was another good one.
Oh, I'm sure you vomited all over yourself with that too.
Yes, I did, but that one was pretty good. There were some really good PSVR games.
There's a million of them.
That's why I was just really disappointed that they couldn't bring any of those to PSVR.
I think they will. I think they totally will.
I was looking at Sony to really push VR forward more than Meta. Meta got a couple of good titles and stuff like that on there. They've gotten some good titles, but Sony seemed to be more as far as, because I figured consoles was going to drive this, because nobody wants to buy a 3K PC and then $1,000 headset to have the best VR experience. They want to have the best VR experience at a minimal cost.
Right.
And so Sony was really going to get the market penetration there because their console's already in people's homes. Here's the headset, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I figured they were going to be the ones to really kind of push it forward. And then all the others were going to kind of follow behind at some point or another. And the latest moves they did seemed sketchy at best for that movement to happen. And what's up, Hasselhoff? However, we did have a topic tonight.
It's not vomiting at Squadron. I remember kept saying, like, you probably don't want to keep spinning. I'm like, you're damn right, tutorial. I don't want to keep spinning. I just kept spinning. Oh,
I will say, the last thing I want to say on that, this comes out in February, PSVR 2. It is $549. It's $599 if you get the Call of the Mountain bundle, the Horizon. Right. If you want to get a charging station for the controllers, it's $50. I want to know. I want to see what their opening sales look like, because
I think they're poor because nobody's actually got the PlayStation.
If you're well-to-do like me with all the money in the world, where it's just all expendable money, I'm definitely picking one up. I'm going to buy 10 of them. Right? Day one, I'm going to have all of them.
Cool. You can send one my way.
Well, maybe I can't do that. Also. Don't hold me to it.
My concern with it is so few people actually have the console in their house right now.
It's the hardest thing in the world to find.
It's one of the hardest consoles
PC Richards
to get your hands on.
It's the secret.
Most of them are sitting in some tool's basement that he's trying to sell them for like 2 to 3 times the amount on eBay still, and they're going nowhere.
I was tripping over them at PC Richards. They were every PC Richards had thousands of them. Don't quote me on thousands, but they had all of them.
Several.
Yeah, many. I went from one to the other to the other. It just had so many. So try PC Richards by the way.
Now, if you were going to do, like, say, Xbox this generation with VR, I think it would go a lot further because One, you
They'll
have an
never do it.
inexpensive option to be able to get in on. You've got a much cheaper option than the full all bells and whistles system. And two, both systems are more readily available, right?
Right.
Well,
But
and
they're
plus
actually
it'd be
getting into
compatible
people's
with your
homes.
PC, I'm sure too. Like they'd be able to, have a PC Windows. You'd be able to use it for that too. So that would be a good thing. But it's not their market. It's
No,
all
they
dude
don't-
bros.
they don't
That's
want it in this
Xbox dude
market.
bros.
I
Yeah,
don't.
they
I don't
don't-
understand. What and Microsoft, and I don't know anything about the cost or what they're really doing with it
Jesse.
outside of the professional fields. But I remember when Microsoft first showed off their HoloLens, which was the AR
That was
technology.
a great idea. I never
Right,
saw it go
kids.
anywhere.
Right, put on the glasses, and Minecraft shows up on your coffee table, and that's where you build, right? Or you're playing Halo, and you're actually hiding behind your couch and looking up, and there's somebody. So, and they're in your house. It's not on a screen somewhere. And
Apparently, the PS5s are available where Justy's at. They haven't been where I've been. Not at
now
all.
you can get them. So
I'm glad they're getting more available. They needed to. It's been almost 3 years at this point. It's getting stupid. We're like halfway through the console generation. Like, people still can't get their hands on them. That's retarded. I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen 3 years into a console generation, and just now the actual console's starting to show up on the market.
My wife has been jonesing for a PS5 for years. And I keep asking her, "Why do you want a PS5? What game are you itching to play?" She just wants to have a PS5. Like
She just wants one.
she just wants one to say she has.
Okay, well, we have a shared income in the house. Should be a big decision between two people. Sell it to me with at least have one game that you have to play on the PS5 that I can't play right now on the PS4. Come on, I'm still.
I
waiting
will
for
say
this
that
game.
I mean,
what I would say is
Ratchet
Ratchet
and
and
Clank.
Clank.
Yeah.
I
That's
think
not
it's a
gonna be
great
that.
game, and if even if it was on the PlayStation 4, which I think it might be, I'd so much rather have it on the PlayStation 5. The way that thing moves
Yeah.
and runs
It's not on
the
4,
is
it can't be on
so
4.
much
It's not.
better.
Yeah, it's not. They're specifically using the SSD for that.
That SSD makes that game.
And Rob, I'll say that even if you do wind up getting it and you find it's a waste, at least your PS4 games run a ton better, and a lot of them offer free PS5 upgrades.
Yes,
Well,
they get like resolution upgrades. and
God
stuff
of
like
War would have been a system seller to me, so I can thank this show, RetroRoots in particular, with educating me that it's actually available on the PS4, because that just completely dashed any dwindling thought I have of getting a PS5.
Yeah, Cyberpunk. I've been playing that like crazy. Sorry, bro. Continue.
That's right.
Yeah.
There's
Cyberpunk is one that I
nothing
kind of
on
want
the
to pick up
PS5
now
that I
that they've
want.
had time to fix it. I avoided it at first because it was just a mess by all accounts.
Yeah.
And now at this point, I'm waiting for it to hit like $20-$30, and
Now-
then I'll buy it.
Justy, I do have a question though. Does it last any longer than the PS4 controller? Because I cannot stand.
No, it's a very, very bad life.
Yeah,
Really
if
bad.
anything, the battery life might actually.
My God,
It's worse.
I barely play my PS3. I could pick up a PS3 controller at any point that has probably been sitting on the coffee table for 6 months or more, and it still has a full charge. And I can go ahead and play 3 games with it, but I cannot make it through a single evening without having to swap out PS4 controllers. And all they're doing is just sitting there as I'm watching YouTube.
Nothing will ever be
I've
the
never had-
Wii U Pro controller. Those things last. I probably will be long dead before it runs out of a charge. It's the most amazing thing ever.
Dude,
but
the Nintendo Pro controller is stupid.
no, but the
I had
Wii U
one.
one in
I had used
particular,
one actively.
The Wii U
daily
one
for
is-
like a
it's
month.
80 hours. I think that's like an actual number.
Yeah, it's. I think it's legitimately 80 hours.
It's devil
retarded.
magic. It says it on the back. It's fueled by devil magic.
Yeah, I absolutely will go. With
I will
Pando
say
on
this,
It's ridiculous.
Rob, as far as a controller though, is that the PS5 controller, if you haven't tried it though, it is absolutely amazing. Like when you can feel like when the wind blows, you can feel like the little particles in the wind. It's pretty amazing. That said, it does last 15
gyrometer,
minutes.
like just sucking the battery down.
Yes, it lasts 15 minutes.
Great.
And the new
Not a
Pro
selling point.
controller that they're selling for the PS5 apparently is even worse.
Oh, those are worse. I think those are like sub 3 hour battery life.
Yeah.
That was ridiculous. Now the PS5, I play my console often in 1 and 2 hour stints, and for that the PS5 controller works perfectly fine. I never have an issue. I always put my controllers back on the charger. Generally when I'm done with them, so it's not that big of a deal.
I just have a cable connected to it all the time.
Or you can connect a cable to it.
Not that you should do that. I'm just saying, but that's what I do.
Yeah, and then it'll just run. It'll be fine. Yeah. But even the PS4, the main thing that killed its battery life was that stupid light on the front.
Well, you can turn that off.
You can turn that off, and that'll help your battery life on those.
Yeah.
But that was primarily for like PlayStation Move and stuff like that. For the most part, that wasn't really intended for anything for the player.
Yeah.
So it was good. It was good for what they wanted to do with it. Just PlayStation Move controllers never really quite took off like they really wanted them to.
Other than that, I like the controller a lot. So
the PS5 controller is the best controller.
The PS5 controller is pretty amazing. I like the feel of the Elite Series 2 controller a little bit better, but the PlayStation 5 has a lot better tech. The problem I have with the tech that they put into the 5 is the same problem I have with most rumble effects. And it's the same problem I have with like the 3D movies. After I'm immersed in it for like 30-40 minutes, I don't notice it anymore. Like it just like, especially in the movie, that's why I stopped paying for like 3D movies, because when I first start seeing the 3D effects, it's all cool and everything like that. After about 20 minutes, like my brain's just shut it off. Yeah. Right. Like I don't see it anymore. It's just a flat movie now that looks fuzzy if I take the stupid.
Well, then you can always turn it off if you don't want it.
Yeah, but I mean, there's times where it's nice, so I don't bother to turn it off. Like the one where I noticed.
I don't know what to tell you then. You're complaining. I'm telling you can turn it off. You're complaining
I know.
Anyway.
I know. Because there's some games.
Just let it work through.
There's some games where I do constantly notice it. Astrobot was amazing with it.
Oh yeah.
That's the best example.
Especially the spring.
I love it in that game.
Yeah.
And Ratchet and Clank, after a while, I don't notice it so much. It's there. And I'm used to kind of feeling the rumble, so there's something there because I notice when there's no vibration, right? But when there is, I'm not telling a difference between one gun to another, which was kind of one of the big features, right?
Well, there's another piece to that though, and that is the
triggers,
tactile feedback on the triggers,
and that's great. However, that has sometimes freaked me out because it made a loud click. And I thought, oh God, did I break my trigger? I was so worried for a while I was going to break my controller.
Yeah, because they get hard sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, they do definitely fight you sometimes, those triggers. But that's what they're supposed to do.
Astrobot's a great game.
That was a great game.
Fantastic game. Okay, they're talking about something else. PS5 will have Half-Life. I doubt it. I don't think it'll have Half-Life Alyx on it because Steam wants to keep that for Steam. And honestly, I've tried to play Alyx a couple of times and I've never gotten very deep into it. I have a hard time engaging with that game, but I have a hard time engaging with Half-Life as a whole. It's not a series I've ever truly loved.
How did they not make Portal VR? That
would be amazing.
You want to talk about vomit?
Yes.
Oh my God.
The whole podcast. I've been waiting for this conversation.
I that's the one thing out of like that kind of Half-Life universe that I love is Portal.
Oh,
I love Portal.
Yeah.
I played both those games and I love them to death. Matter of fact, if somebody wanted to do a co-op through that, I would totally sit there and we would be chewing each other out constantly trying to solve the puzzles, but it would be fine.
Yeah.
You know, the orange box is backward compatible.
Yeah. Well, I think I've got it. I've got it on Steam, and it's got the co-op on it. If somebody
but you know what? All right, so that's Steam. I've got the orange box on Xbox, and
I don't
that
know
is
if
not
Box had Portal 2 or not.
It has
Portal 1, Team Fortress.
You have it on Switch too. That's what I have it on now.
Yeah.
And they RTX. They just got RTX Portal on Steam, I believe.
That's right. They did. They just updated that, didn't they?
Yeah, I'm going to be all about that soon. End of podcast.
But it's one of those games that has staying power because you can go back
Portal?
to those games and
Portal is I would argue is that series is the greatest games of all time.
It is probably one of my
Portal is
favorite
very, very good.
Portal 2 in particular.
Better than Contra?
I know.
Yes, by
than
thousands
Myst?
of miles. By trillions of miles, yeah.
I don't know. I really do like Contra.
Mega
I-
Man
but-
X.
Like
No.
Mega Man, the original Mega Man X is pretty amazing. I think Contra's got a smoother learning curve than Mega Man X. Mega Man X at the very end just all of a sudden.
But
wants to punch you in the face.
Portal has not only great level design, but a great universe, and the humor and the writing is next level. How good that writing!
The writing in 2 is just when Gladys is a potato.
Yeah.
That's some of the best stuff ever.
Yeah. It has everything. It has everything, and it excels at everything.
Well, Paste is kind of telling me what I'm wanting to hear, which is that
Pace
Contra's
is telling you
better
what
than
you want to
Portal.
hear. But I mean, his logo
It's
also is
absolutely
basically
wrong.
Contra.
Wrong.
So
It's wrong.
Contra better.
Nate,
than
what was
Super
better
C.
than Contra? Did you like Super C better?
I haven't done Super C yet.
If your answer is yes, then maybe you'll like Portal. You'll like it better than Portal. But Portal 2 was leaps and bounds better than the first one. So it took everything
the
great.
first
And then,
one was great, but Portal 2 added such a.
yeah.
The story was way more fleshed out.
Yep.
Portal was kind of intended more to be a tech demo that they built into a game.
Yep.
But it never got out of those the origins of being a tech demo to start. So while it was good, and I would say great at the time, once Portal 2 came out, it really just kind of kicked Portal 1 down a couple of notches as far as what you expected out of a Portal game. That's how much better 2 was than 1. And just on the story alone, like learning more about Cave Johnson.
Yeah, well, yeah. I think it was Eric Wolf who wrote all
all that stuff is just wonderful.
Yeah.
And
I would never compare
organically, which is great. It never interrupts the gameplay.
I don't know how we're comparing Contra and Portal together, but I mean that's an odd comparison. But I would say you have to try Portal. I've been trying to get you, Mr. Matthews,
I know you
to play
have.
this forever.
Well, Rob is.
I'm
Rob
very
is,
difficult
at his
to
core.
read,
He fights most modern games. Most.
Yeah,
You played Days Gone. You really enjoyed that, though.
If you like puzzle games and you like sarcastic humor, my God, how are you not playing Portal? Like that's the biggest. You can't get a more sarcastic, dark humored game than Portal. It's impossible.
Hmm.
And I don't want to give anything away, but it's pretty grim in places.
It does get very dark in places.
Yeah.
I'm of the opinion that Super C is actually the better game of the two of them, but I still prefer Contra. There's some discussion going on in the chat.
Oh, I thought
So
he was,
I
was
think
trying to say Super
Then
C
you
is
will
better
like
than Portal.
Contra
greater
better.
than Contra. However, Contra Heart Super C, if that makes sense.
Then you might like it better than Portal.
They're
I think
very-
that's a fair
By that
assessment.
logic, if we can make that connection, then I will give this Portal game. Portal, is it a chance?
Portal
Portal
1 and 2.
Portal.
Yeah.
Portal. Portal.
So it's kind of like Darksiders.
It's exactly like Darksiders.
Got it.
I have no idea.
What was the name of the
All I know is that
PlayStation
there's like the
remotes?
sequence in Darksiders that was accused of blatantly ripping off Portal.
Oh,
I've
okay.
never played Portal, so I know what they're talking about. but
Yeah, except
I know what you mean by that.
where you're
The
literally
very
making a
the
portal,
very
jumping
last
through it,
weapon
and
you
that
get in
get puzzle element.
Darksiders.
yeah.
The very
I mean,
last weapon you get in Darksiders 1 is basically a portal gun.
yes.
It,
other than
it
the
is
fact,
a portal gun for all
I thought it was
intents
a fighting game. Is that Dark Stalkers?
that's Darkstalkers.
That's
Darksiders
Darksiders
is a hack and slash.
is a
It's
hack and
basically like
slash
God of
game.
War plus Zelda.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a way, because you get a lot of different weapons and stuff. And the last one they give you just feels very tacked on and forced into the game, because the game doesn't play like that at all. Like, it doesn't fit in the flow of the rest of the game at all when they put the portal gun in there.
It's
Somebody
literally like
just
if you-
really
if you
wanted
took
the
a portal
portal gun in
and put
there.
in God of War. That's how it would come across. So
Yeah.
Well, here's the
Somebody-
only problem is that Portal came out 3 years prior to Darksiders. So.
that's why Darksiders
Justy, that's a
actually
pool
ripped it
table,
off.
man. That's not a ping pong table.
I
can
see.
tell you that.
Okay.
But yeah, couple of games I do want to play in the next year is one. I'll probably do my final run on Ninja Gaiden. Probably won't be a 1cc run, but I kind of want to be done playing that one for a little while. I've enjoyed it. I've gotten slowly better at it. Getting pretty close to 1cc run. I just don't know if I really want to spend the time to smooth it out. I'd rather spend that time maybe dipping my toe into, say, Super C next year. I might do Contra Hardcorps next year as far as retro goes.
Nick, is there any games?
Tough game.
Is there a game, like, I don't know if this would apply here. I don't know how well everyone knows each other, but are there games that it'd be fun to see, like, what you would recommend to everyone else? You know what I mean? Like, for instance, as an example, I've been saying to Mr. Matthews forever, play Portal 1 and 2. Is there any games, for instance, that you wish Mike would play? And then, Mike, is there any games you wish Nick could play?
We started doing that at the beginning of this podcast.
And we need to do it again.
We need to get back to that.
Can we really pretend that I made that concept up?
You guys aren't really answering his question. So I know what you guys are talking about, and that was interesting.
That's why we did
Rob just came in and said, Rob just literally came in and said, you're not answering this fucking question. Jesus.
End of
Let's just shut everybody down.
And we're done.
And we're all
done here.
But really, though, is there Mike?
Back to vomit.
Mike
is
and Nick.
there? Is there? On the spot, I'd have to go through my collection and see what that is. I mean,
Now, Panda, let me go back to you real quick. So, do Mike and Nick and me, do we know one another well enough to be able to recommend a game that you specifically, Nick, what I know about you, you will like this game?
That's what I'm asking. Yeah, it's based on how well you know each other.
I would be interested to see if they could answer this question.
Which
for
one
each
do
other.
you want me to play?
What?
What was that, Rob?
I,
Which one did you
I said I would be very interested to see if either one of you could answer that question for each other.
I did at one point. We were talking about games.
Please be a feud a game.
Damn, I can't remember what game I told you would like. There was one that we were talking about.
The second Toe Jam and Earl better than the first one, and you had recommended that.
Yes, but there was another one. You and I were talking about some type of game, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm playing this. You should try it. I think you'd really like it." It might have been High on Life.
Well, that was one I was already interested in anyway, and yeah, I am actually playing that one, and I am enjoying it. The chatter on the weapons can be a bit much at times, but it's not been bad enough that I want to turn it down because it adds a lot of personality to the game.
There was a game, and I can't remember.
If you can't think of the game, you have to look in the camera and openly admit that you don't know your friend that well.
Moral Fiend.
No, I don't remember the conversation.
Is another one that Panda recommended to me.
Yeah,
that I picked up
the recommendations are coming out now.
One of the ones I'd recommend to Rob would probably be Blazing Chrome if he hasn't already played it, because it's very Contra focused.
The Contra-esque game, yeah.
Yeah, and so I think you would love that game. It's got a lot of cool personality. It's got a lot of the original Contra feel to it. And any feel from like Contra 3 would be more from like the side-scrolling stages that I think you enjoy. Because you didn't enjoy the over-the-top stages, but I think the side-scrolling stages you didn't mind so much. But Blazing Chrome is a great game if you haven't touched it, that I think you would truly enjoy in that vein. I also think you would enjoy Portal. I think if you gave Portal a chance, you'd probably enjoy Portal.
Oh, it's a guarantee. And my Phoenix recommendation to you, Nick, I'm pretty much guaranteeing you'll like it too. It's Breath of the Wild without being Breath of the Wild.
Well, yeah, that's why I picked that up. That's the one you mentioned, yeah. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'm curious to try that. And I did finally push through Breath of the Wild this year. Mm-hmm. I still wouldn't put it super high on my list of like recommended games from me personally. But then it does a couple things that I commonly don't necessarily gravitate to in games anyway. The disposable weapons I don't really care for.
Not in Phoenix.
And the open worldness with it feeling like there's very little I should bother to do.
Not in Phoenix.
Was a disappointment.
What'd you say?
What about rain physics? Is that in Phoenix?
It actually, every magazine said it was the best rain physics.
Well, here's the problem with rain physics in Breath of the Wild is it put out all the fires where you could cook.
Yeah,
so
not here.
You couldn't climb surfaces, and Horizon Zero Dawn fixed all that for me. It was the first open world game I played in a while that I enjoyed from end to end. Once I got used to the combat system, that was a struggle at first. Once I got the feel for it, I liked it.
I platinumed Horizon Zero Dawn.
I think I might have too.
Have you noticed that in Forbidden West there are no men? The men are gone from that game. Have you noticed that? No, just me. Okay. End of podcast.
I have.
There's literally no men in that game.
I haven't played it yet.
There's like 3. That's it.
I found Breath of the Wild an exercise in tedium in a lot of ways. It was better my last playthrough because I just sort of embraced a lot of the things that I wasn't liking about it and just let it slide, and it became a much better game for it.
I got spoiled by Breath of the Wild in a way I didn't realize until I started playing other games because I don't really play a whole lot of modern games. So the most modern games that I've played after Breath of the Wild have been like Days Gone and the God of War games. So they don't come up too often. However, I got frustrated a lot in, say, the God of War games because in Breath of the Wild, Link could literally climb any surface in the game. So I got frustrated a lot by all the walls that I can clearly see Kratos should be able to vault over this like he's done in all the other, passable cliffs.
I will admit to the same frustration.
Why can't you climb every single surface like Link can? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I will admit to the same level of frustration because from playing like games like Horizon, which honestly felt a little limiting based off Breath of the Wild because there's certain places you can climb in Horizon. They're very marked out. You're not affected by weather in any way, but you're more limited in where you can climb there. So it's more traditional open world. And Kratos not being able to basically, I felt like I was on rails more than I was in an open world.
Yeah.
There was
People tried to tell me that was an open world game.
Well, that's on purpose. So that God of War follows the Tomb Raider formula.
What's up, Canadian? Thanks for
Hey,
coming in, man.
what's up, Gate? It follows the Tomb Raider formula, which is sections, but not quite sections with a hub to get to those sections.
Yes,
but not quite open world in the same way that Horizon was, and that's where I think it's one of the reasons that I truly like God of War because it reminded me of Tomb Raider in that way. I can get through the game without having to spend half of my time traversing the entire world just to get to some fetch quests that I've got to do along the way. And that's why you can't do it, and you can do it in Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild is completely open. So kind of like, The Witcher, right? The Witcher 3 or Skyrim or something like that. God of War wasn't intended to be that.
It sounds like everyone could benefit from playing Phoenix Rising because it's Breath of the Wild. You can go anywhere you want, but it's easy to get to places, and there's always something to do constantly, but without any of the headaches of Breath of the Wild.
And you're talking about Immortals Phoenix Rising.
Yeah.
So on HTK on my channel, he's played a lot of that. He loves that game.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's Assassin's Creed Odyssey mixed with Breath of the Wild, and it's the best parts of both.
Really?
Yeah. That's the best way of that's the marriage. Those two games together. But if you don't like assassinating, you don't have to do that. So everyone would love that game. I can't recommend that game enough. I've played it I've beaten it 3 times. It's a fun game.
Every Canadian's giving it a thumbs up.
Then
on the caveat that it's a Ubisoft game,
right?
And you always kind of take, and I'm willing to be proven wrong on this, but Ubisoft games usually follow like a very specific path, and you either really like that path or you're like lukewarm on it.
I can't say it better than the way I've said it. It's
going to be really good.
It's really good.
You've talked about it a lot, so
I'm not
wrong. It may fix all my problems with what I had on there because it's been, I'd say, a handful of open world.
Unlike everyone else in the panel, I know what games you guys would love, and I will be right.
I don't know what you guys, but it will change your life.
Exactly. I'm not in fear of overselling it, and then I'm gonna be like wrong. I know you're just gonna love it.
No, I've heard a lot of good things, and it's in Game Pass. I may as well get it started.
I will say, just as a quick side note about like you were talking about God of War, where there's like you go, oh, I can't hop over this little wall. The worst offender ever of all time has to be Resident Evil 3 Remake. Rob, did you play that?
I didn't play that one, no.
Okay, well, there's a part where you're like, damn it, I wish I could go to this area, but there's a effing chair in front of me. This high-tech savior who battles zombies can't push a chair to the right and walk forward. So you have to traverse this entire, like, oh, damn this chair. What an umbrella. It's a chair.
Nailed to the ground.
Then you climb over it.
Yeah,
it's stuff like that's very confusing to me.
That's the laziest wall I've ever seen in my life. It has to go RE3.
At least with did you ever play the Bionic Commando?
The newer ones, like the 3D.
The Grim Software one.
I did. I wasn't.
They had invisible walls. Well, they weren't invisible. They had walls containing the. What's up, Saggy? The designated play area, but it was just radioactive fog. So at least there was some attempt to give some logic to the borders. But yeah, the Resident Evil ones, those are the most contrived barriers.
A chair, Rob.
I heard
chair.
You. I'm with you.
Chair.
Feel you.
A chair that is nailed to the ground. But you can't climb over because your legs are so broken.
Yeah, it's just
so.
I'm struggling to think of one right off the top for Mike.
Yeah, for Mike.
He does a lot of shooters, but he also does a lot of retro.
I'm not a
Borderlands 2.
He doesn't like Borderlands. I know that already.
Oh, I hate Borderlands with an absolute passion of the red hot sun.
But Mike, I think you're probably tricky because I think you're overall probably more open, right? Like, I don't think you'd say necessarily that there's this particular genre that I love, and that's what you have them, but they're not like definitive.
No, they're not. There are genres that I don't like. Like, I am not an RTS guy, and I'm not a.
Most people with an active sex life hate RTSs. That's what I would say.
Well,
who the hell likes those games?
Well,
me too, but RTS I don't have an games? Active sex life.
Actually, I do have one for Mike.
Well,
and it's one I think I've mentioned to him before.
All right.
It may not be on console, but I know it's on Steam. It's called EX Zodiac.
I have heard of this game.
I know you kind of
like
that
Rabbids game count as an RTS?
What?
That Rabbids game, does that count as an RTS game?
Mario Rabbids?
Yeah,
kind of.
It's a tactics-based game. Yeah, I mean it's a much smaller part.
It would.
So
wouldn't it be kind of like
tactics than anything?
Like the XCOM games, and that kind of what it's like.
Yeah, it's a little bit closer to that. Yeah,
that's what I thought we were talking about. So it turns out I don't know what the hell an RTS is. So I take back my active sex.
It's like StarCraft or the original Warcraft games.
The active sex life thing goes right back into that.
StarCraft was back in the day used to play those, and I. You're right. I don't have a hard and fast. This is the kind of game that I really like.
Dude.
Yeah, you tend to kind of you'll grab onto one thing in a genre. Like you really like High on Life, so I would think you would love Borderlands too because the humor is very much in the same vein.
I don't like
but you hate that game.
I hate that game. Okay, so wait, so hold on. The thing about Borderlands and the thing about High on Life. So High on Life, and you'll see this as you go along. High on Life follows the God of War and Tomb Raider philosophy. It is not open world. It is hub with open areas. And it sticks to a story that doesn't have a lot of outside fetch questing. Yes, there are some side missions and things that you can do, but you are there to follow a story. And that is what I like about High on Life. Borderlands.
It's about the grind.
It's about the grind. I don't grind. Then that's what I love about
Smash.
Well, Hulk smash. Look, I give me a game like God of War, like Tomb Raider, like Doom. Right? Doom is the ultimate corridor shooter. Right? I will live and die by corridor shooters. Give me point A to point B, kill everything in my way, make me go do something that means something to completing the game. And those are the shooters that I like.
All right, Mike, to help us out, what's a game that you played that surprised you that you liked? That'll help me gauge.
That surprised me.
That surprised you. Played it like on a whim or give it a shot. I'm not going to like
Death's Door.
I don't know what that is.
That's an isometric, I want to say hack and slash, but with a lot of puzzle elements.
Okay, why didn't you think you were going to like it?
A little slower pace than I thought it would be,
okay.
But it turned out to be really good. I'm a Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance kind of guy when it comes to those. Like Baldur's Gate itself, not so much. Throw me an isometric 3D. Diablo 3, I played the crap out of, all the way through, right?
Okay.
So I could do those kind of games.
And there's a little bit of grind in that.
A little bit, but it's not.
It's
not as big a grind as Borderlands by any stretch.
Okay.
The big problem with Borderlands is sometimes you'll get lucky and you'll have a run where you can go through and you'll just get the right weapons and you're fine. But sometimes you'll pick up a weapon that looks like it should have good stats, and then the moment you shoot it, like you're 2 feet away from somebody and it misses every shot, and you're like, how? And you look and its accuracy is like 91%, and you're like, how? If you start understanding Borderlands 2 logic, that anything below 95% accuracy may as well be the worst shotgun on the planet. Like, physics no longer apply to this gun. The bullets just avoid all enemies, like kind of thing. Where Borderlands 2 really works is the humor. If you get deep enough to start getting the humor in it's great.
If you take the humor out, is it still a good game?
Probably not. It's the humor. It's the main villain that really pulls it through.
And I can't get on the gameplay enough to make the humor help with the game.
Yeah, because Handsome Jack is probably one of my favorite villains of games that I probably played. And it's why I struggled to get into Borderlands 3. I loved 2, so I picked up 3, and I don't like the villains in 3. And so 3 just isn't fun. I have so little fun interacting with those villains and those characters now that I don't want to push through the game. And so it's the kind of the same spot you are from the beginning, whereas it was the characters and the humor and all that really pulled me through, and then the fact I was playing with friends and we're always finding these cool new guns and stuff like that. That was a lot of fun. In 3, they did a great job on giving you way more guns, but a lot of their story writing I didn't think was nearly as strong. So there's really only been like one Borderlands game I would ever really heavily recommend to people, and that's 2. I wouldn't recommend 1 because there wasn't much of a story to 1. The pre-sequel was okay.
I even tried that.
There was a little lackluster there. 3 was just bad.
I think the pre-sequel actually made me hate it worse.
I didn't like the pre-sequel nearly as well as I did 2. It just was not as good of a game. I didn't feel like.
Can I just really quickly? I was making games a while back ago on my own, and one game that they Apple wouldn't let me do it was that the villain was that every time you would lose the game, you actually had to sacrifice something, right? You had, with this villain character, and so like you would like how much you want to really play this, like, and if you would play it and lose, then you would lose that thing you wagered. So for instance, it'd be like your family photos, like it would be like. It'll randomly delete 2 or 3 of your photos. It'll randomly delete a contact, things like that, if you to play. But turns out that's like pretty illegal. They didn't.
Then you bet the red pill blue pill game instead. What's
that?
Standing for that. And then you invented the red pill blue pill game again, where you had to.
But yeah, Mike, back to you. The EX Zodiac game. It's a pretty short game. I think it's still in alpha, and they're still working on it. It's got about 6 or 7 stages. They've been kind of constantly tweaking it for a while. It reminds me a lot of Star Fox, so it's kind of an on-the-rails space shooter kind of thing, very Panzer Dragon. And I know you like Panzer Dragon, so that's why I think you would enjoy that. It's very much influenced by Star Fox, though. So if you enjoyed Star Fox or Panzer Dragon,
we need a new
I think
Star Fox. I could do. Yeah, Star Fox. You know, it's.
But you don't have the annoying teammates everywhere. It's just you, right? You
Right.
and like your engineer and stuff like that. So there's not a lot of this, hey, he's on my 6 or whatever from like Slappy getting into trouble like the million time to where you want to take him down.
Okay.
It eliminates that, which I think a lot of people didn't like out of Star Fox originally anyway. But it's a cool retro styled game. And it's even got some Space Harrier in there. Because there's some stages where if you get this data disc, it opens up an optional stage for you to get like another collectible, and it's a Space Harrier stage.
Gotcha.
So it's got some Space Harrier in there too. So I think you might actually really
That
enjoy
is
it
one.
as
Yeah.
short as it is. Because I've got maybe 3 hours in it, and I've seen most of what it has to offer now. So it's a very short game. It's not going to eat a ton of your time. You could probably finish it in an afternoon.
Well, and to answer your question, Panda, Last Stop is a game that because it's not my kind of game, right? I'm not. Like I'm struggling through As Dusk. Was it As Dusk?
Yeah, these are more story-driven games.
Yeah, I'm not a big story-driven game guy in that way, but Last Stop had enough moving around that I enjoyed it.
How did you do it like Until Dawn?
I didn't.
Okay.
No. But I do actually have. I'm wondering if the game that I had mentioned to you, Nick, was Plague Tale Requiem.
Yeah, you did mention Plague Tale Requiem.
That might have been one I thought you would like.
You mentioned specifically the second one because you were loving it, and I was leery about the first one.
Right.
In the first place.
They improved everything about the second one.
Yeah, but I'd want to play through the first one.
Sure, but I think that
I'm build on each other.
I think that's the one that I was recommending to you.
Yeah, and I haven't tried that one because there's been a couple other things popped up. One of which, High in Life, I was kind of looking forward to anyway, so I kind of wanted to dive into that one. So it was kind of on my list. Sonic Frontiers, I've still got to get back to.
What's
I'm struggling to get into that one. I really want to love it, but I'm also struggling to get into it a little bit.
What's the main problem with it?
I don't know. It's kind of open world and Sonic-y, but Sonic. Maybe it's just that I'm bad at 3D Sonic now, but Sonic feels really hard to control. Like,
hasn't he always in 3D pretty much controlled terribly?
No.
Kind of.
No,
I thought
Sonic Adventure
controlled fine, but it's been so long since I played those. I'm just not good at 3D Sonics, and so I'm struggling to get used to it. Whereas Generations, you can kind of flip back and forth, and you can have more of a 2D perspective where you can play it in 3D and that kind of thing. So you can kind of avoid the 3D for the most part if you want. And a lot of the others don't even do that. Like Mini, I don't think has 3D.
No.
Colors does. Colors is a 3D Sonic game.
Right. But no, Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2 really did control very well with Sonic 3D Blast, even though it wasn't a game that people really people weren't into it because it wasn't a mainline Sonic game. It was out on the Genesis and the Saturn. That one controlled really well for a kind of pseudo 3D isometric kind of game.
It was just a weird game because he's supposed to go fast, and it's just him walking around this 3D environment. It was a weird. It needed a different character to me.
That's what I didn't. That's what I don't think I like from what I have seen in Frontiers.
Okay.
Is there's too much, like in Sonic Adventure, when you started off a level, you needed to get moving. Like you were shooting through, right out of the gate, shooting through the turbo and having to run from the big giant whale and then being thrown over the loops and all that stuff. You had to go fast. It doesn't look like you have to go fast in Sonic Frontiers. And
you do in some of the main stages. The weird thing is you're in a big open world, but you have the individual stages that feel a lot like adventure. But sometimes it just, I don't know. I think it's just memorizing where things are at because they keep getting hit by things or jumping at the right time or something weird happens. And because it feels almost like it's trying to be a little bit tighter like a 2D Sonic game, but it's a 3D Sonic game. Whereas Adventure, I thought was a little bit more forgiving with the stage design, right? When you're running from the whale, you're just running from the whale, right? You're not having to like flip between rails and do all this other crazy stuff between there. You're literally looking at the whales, you run towards the screen, then you hit the springboard, and then it flips the camera angle around, and it looks all cinematic and awesome, but it's not hard to play, and it's not very technical, right? Not that there aren't some technical spots in that, but it's minimal technical aspects to it. Whereas I feel like they're asking more in the current 3D games, and I'm just not prepared for it mechanically. I think that might be part of my problem. And the other part is the open world is the tone is weird for Sonic. Like, it's got a dark, grim tone to this world. The music's kind of dark and grim. It feels very like when you're in the stages, it feels like Sonic. When you're out and you're exploring the world, it doesn't feel like Sonic. And I don't know if that's deliberately part of the storytelling they're trying to tell you, or if it just is disjointed. Like, there's a weird dichotomy for it. And honestly, I may enjoy it more now, because before, what I thought you had to do is there are keys you get in each stage, and you need so many of these keys to unlock the Chaos Emerald, which you need to beat the boss at the end of the stage, or the end of that island, or whatever it is, right? Well, I found out that you can actually just do like fishing and stuff like that with like Big Cat, and you can get those keys that way. So you don't have to grind out the same stage over and over again. Because I was finding myself playing the first stage like 15 times and not necessarily seeing any market improvement, and just not having any fun with the stage anymore. Like, I was over it. But I felt I needed to grind the stage, and that felt unfun. Like, grinding in a Sonic game is not fun.
And Sonic is weird.
It is. I mean,
so I may go back and revisit it, and it may pull me in more if I just kind of push through and see where I can get with it. Now, I heard one bad critique that multiple people mentioned is when you're fighting the boss, you're on a timer, and the timer depends on the number of rings you have. Timers are the worst game mechanics in the world. Yeah, but the timer is dependent on the number of rings you're carrying when you encounter the boss. So you have to go farm a ton of rings so you have more time.
That's lame.
Yeah.
And that seems really stupid to me.
Yeah. And how do they even explain it? How does that even scientifically
How does that even make any sense? Right.
It
doesn't, like, you surviving based on having rings is fine. I'll go with that. That's been Sonic's mechanic. It doesn't make any logical sense, but it's been that way from the beginning, so whatever, I'll go with it. But having that as how much time I have to beat a boss?
Yeah, that's crap.
Doesn't seem good.
I'd boycott that game.
I'm gonna wait for a Game Pass. I'm gonna wait for it to hit the Game Pass, and then I'll play it. Because there's other games, and that's the thing. And Pace said it. There's so many other games to play, and I actually do want to play Immortals: Phoenix Rising. I really do. So that may be the next one I crack open now that I've finished High on Life and
if you liked Odyssey. Did you like Assassin's Creed Odyssey?
I liked Assassin's Creed Origins, but the only Assassin's Creed game I really hated was 3.
Okay.
So
I've never gotten into the Assassin's Creed games.
I only liked Odyssey. That was one I played because I like mythology.
The closest I got to that was Black Flag, and then when they started when I got to go off the rails of playing an Assassin's Creed game and got to play a pirate, I had a lot of fun. When I ran out of piratey stuff I could accomplish and had to go back to being an assassin again, I hated it.
And see, 3, I've heard people have said that 4 is just so good, and 3 ruined it for me for a couple of years. I didn't get back into Assassin's Creed until Origins. Now, I love mythology, but I also really like the Tunisian, old Middle Eastern, Egyptian, that lore. I am kind of drawn to that lore as a historical perspective, but the Origins was, and still is, because I'm still playing it, is fantastic. And that's one of the games that got a 60 FPS boost on the Xbox Series X. So now it plays even better than it did when I first played it. Plus, it's one of the few games that really takes advantage of Dolby Atmos. So things are really going on around you if you're wearing headphones. So Odyssey is Origins and that, with Roman Empire. And so it's the same game. It really is.
Well, have you played it?
I've watched my son play it. As far as the mechanic, I'm not saying it's the same story. The mechanics are pretty much the same. Assassin's Creed has not changed its mechanics since the first.
Well, give Phoenix right. You might. I know for a fact Nick will love it. That's all I can say.
No,
it's one of those that's on my short list. Like I want to
guarantee I'll love it.
For some reason, I randomly picked up High and Left because I think I was just in the mood to play a shooter game. And I'm like, you know what? This one's got some personality to it. I'm going to give this one a go. It just dropped. I'll give this a shot.
No, I thoroughly want to play this game. It's not a I want to play Immortals Phoenix Rising. So that may be the next one that I touch and see what I can do.
So let's do this real quick. This may not be quick. I was trying to think because we're closing in on 2 hours and we should probably wrap up.
Yeah, because Rob said very little this show.
It's not a good show for Rob, I feel like. And I feel bad when I don't have Rob engaged in the show.
Rob, you just have to pretend like me. I don't know what the hell these two cats are talking about. I'm just...
Wait, Rob plays modern games? He knows...
He avoids most of them, quite frankly.
Portal is from 2010, dude.
I did not say...
In 2007. You have no excuse.
I jumped off the video game train as far as like modern games go. If it's not a franchise that I'm already invested in, it's very hard for me to even really hear about it. Because I just
did you know that Portal is actually technically
about it.
Castlevania 7? Did you know
that? Okay. So I mean, if they're actually, I know of Portal just because everyone's been talking about it for the past 12 years, or whatever. But I play an awful lot of games, but all these games that I've been playing are typically, 35 years old. And I just don't really have a whole lot of time for modern games, what it comes down to.
I got you. And look, the truth is, I've been playing a lot of older stuff myself. I mean, I spent a lot of time on that Atari 50 collection. I go back and play old stuff a lot. I've watched one of the sites out there that tracks your achievements. True Achievements had like an end of the year thing, and everybody's got like 100 games. 57,000 gamer score they did 2022. Blah, blah, blah. I played like 35 games and had like 5,000 gamer score. I have not played a ton of modern games either. But there are some that have been pretty good. I do want, I did buy an Xbox Series X and a PS5. I'd like to actually use them. So,
well, I think I'd asked the question what was it? Like, would you rather play forever the games from 40 years behind you, or you can only play 40 years ahead of you? So if I'm not going to live
for another 40 years, so that'd be an easy snap for me. So,
I mean, lately,
I hope I won't live for 40
I've
more
been
years.
on a trend of playing a few more modern games.
Well, I guess 85 isn't really that bad, but
no.
All right, I will probably not be hyped about new video games in another 40 years. So,
the idea is that you'd be able to keep playing everything that's in front of you as opposed to everything that's behind you.
I care less and less about every new console than the one that came before it. So I'm minimally hyped about PS3, less so hyped about PS4, zero hype at all about PS5. I don't care about any of the Xbox consoles. Nintendo probably can't even really tempt me with the new console. But I still play a lot of games. I just have it. I'm satisfied with the games I have. So I would be more than happy to sacrifice every game from my future for the games that I already have.
Yeah, I think a lot of people in the community feel the same way.
Yeah,
I saw the results of the poll. I think it was pretty unanimous on that.
Yeah.
I think Nick was one of the few ones that obviously there's no wrong answer, but he was one of the few ones that actually voted for future games.
Oh no, I think I actually voted for retro, but I was going to
Did you?
caveat of the fact that I have a PC, so I can still play the modern games anymore.
That you did your little loophole thing that paid off.
That was just me trolling him a little bit.
But it's not a loophole. That wasn't a failed loophole.
Honestly, I've been in kind of a weird state lately because I think I've been picking up some of the harder retro games, and so I've kind of hit like a retro game burnout for a little bit, right? Particularly after Ninja Gaiden, I just have not wanted to retro stream, like at all.
You're talking about the 2D Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah. So that's kind of why I've started picking up things like Voodoo Vince, and then I picked up Tunic, thinking it was going to be something it wasn't, but I'm still trying to push through it. Like literally, I just beat the third boss, and only 10% of people beat the third boss in this game.
Wow, I thought that game was going to be charming and fun. Thank God I didn't. It was like
it is charming and it is cute, but it also will literally just beat the living hell out of you.
Okay.
Again, it was compared to the Souls games.
Yeah, it's amazing.
The review that I saw. So.
Yeah, it's definitely got Souls mechanics in it. Like literally, every time you go to like rest to refill your health files, it's just the only way you can heal in the game.
I think the sword play is similar. I haven't played any of the Souls games, obviously. So
yeah, I mean,
but I think the sword play is the same.
Combat, it plays very similar. You're not wrong, Matthews. It plays. It's got a lot of similarities.
Well, at least the person I've been listening to is not wrong. So I've never played it. It looks cool though.
No, it's a cute game, and I've been both enjoying it and
foxes are so hot right now in video games. Seems like
everybody wants to make them that way, and it's kind of frustrating. And it's kind of why I'm starting to try to get more into the genre because it seems like every time I turn around, the next game that comes out is another Souls game. And I'm like,
well, even that Star Wars game was a Souls game.
Right. The last Star Wars game was basically a Souls game.
Ask. Ish. Can you settle for Ish?
No, it really. No.
How about that?
It had boss fights that kind of, sort of could be considered maybe.
Yeah, but there was the whole resting thing and.
Yeah, but when I think of Souls, right, I think of every freaking enemy that you come up on. I have to roll, slash, roll, slash, roll, slash, and if I don't, I die.
But in Souls, your character had legs, correct? Well, so does the Star Wars game. Next question.
Well, here's the thing. You don't do that as much in Tunic, but if you're not paying attention. Like, you can eat on some of the enemies, particularly early on, you can easily get two-shot. Like, you just can. It gets better as you go along, and those enemies get weaker. But I could say the same thing for Demon Souls, because I don't roll a lot on Demon Souls. Like, I'll let the guy swing. I may move once or let the guy swing, or I may parry him and stab him, and he dies. If there's multiple guys around, I'll kill a couple of them, and then I'll, like, parry one guy and kill him. But you have to know how to parry. You have to know what their animations are. You have to know what you can play around with and what the distance is and stuff like that. It's not all like rolling all the time. That appears to be what, and there are builds that do that, and that's very popular when you're watching it online. Watching Souls games being played is probably one of the most boring experiences I've ever seen online. Every time I see somebody do something, it's like roll, one swing. Okay, now I have no stamina. Okay. Move around a little bit, roll, swing, and the swing animation takes like 30 seconds. I swear to God, I have no idea.
I just feel like you could like learn how to build a boat, just like something you could do in real life.
Yeah,
instead of getting good at this game that's intentionally hard. I don't know. I could never do it.
And that's been my problem with them for the most part. Has been that Tunic doesn't feel quite as bad on that, but it definitely harkens to that genre in some respects. Right? Mm-hmm. It's not as hard. When you die, you don't lose like all your experience. You lose like 20 gold. You're going to gain more than that by the time you get back to your body. Mm-hmm. So it's not nearly as punishing that way. But it is one of those things where the only way to refill like your health pots is to rest. So it acts like a bonfire. And when you do that, all the enemies are back. Right?
Oh, that's
so you have to pay attention where you're at.
Hate that.
And so all that's in play there. So that kind of stuff. So it's kind of like having your Estus flasks and your bonfires in that respect.
No,
the boss battles, you have to pay attention to the patterns. because they're difficult to get on. And almost every boss battle I've beaten.
Would Matthews like
I've been
the
down to
Souls
like,
games?
I'm gonna fall over dead any second. Kind of like.
I don't think so, because it sounds like it's a lot of the frustrating elements I didn't like from the God of War games. I didn't like how that combat worked. That frustrated me.
Did it ever frustrate you that you have to remember 36,000 button combinations? Because that's my problem.
Yes.
Well, and for me, Ninja Gaiden, the Xbox
The
series,
3D one.
yeah, did not age well for me because I mean, the joke has always been, well, this game is basically Souls.
It's like a precursor to Souls.
Souls, right? Well, my joke was always, well, Dark Souls is basically Ninja Gaiden.
The Ninja Gaiden of
The Ninja Gaiden of games.
Dark
because
Souls
that
is
was
the crappier playing version of Ninja Gaiden, in my opinion.
Yes.
This Ninja Gaiden, even when I'm rolling around, I don't have a stamina bar to worry about. I can leap and flip, and there's fast attacking weapons and all sorts of craziness you can do. There's ninjutsus and stuff like that. There's all sorts of crazy action. And Ninja Gaiden on the Xbox reminds me of like that's kind of spawned off like Devil May Cry and Bayonetta and all those. Only it's way harder to play. It's just a more challenging version of those kinds of games, right? So, and Souls wanted to take that and take that hard aspect and tone down the crazy flamboyant combat to a more methodical combat style. And they want to use the environment as an enemy against you too, because they want you paranoid to go a direction. Because you don't know if there's going to be like traps or where enemies at or where this is at until you've died to it, right?
Right.
And so they use the whole world as a character against you constantly in that game.
Fun.
And then on one thing I will never do on those games is I will never play them with my PlayStation Online. I will not deal with invasions. I don't care if it's the only way I get help. But I've seen so many people. I was watching Phoenix play it one day, and she had this one guy invade her like 15 times. She couldn't get anything done because the guy kept invading her. It was the most annoying thing ever. I'm like, I don't want any part of this.
Is there any? I have heard no joy in this game. Is there anything that's enjoyable?
People love them, man. They love the fact they're brutally hard. They love the invasions.
They're probably into S&M and weird crap like that.
I have struggled, at least with the first one, and maybe it's the wrong one to play. I've been told Bloodborne's where you should start, and that's like the 4th or 5th game in the series.
I had that.
And then you can go back.
Well, Bloodborne is not a Souls. It's not in the Souls lore,
but it's a Souls game.
It's a Souls game. It's made by From. Yes.
Flip the mechanics around a bit.
Yes.
So, I've been told that's probably where I should start, in theory. I haven't tried that one because I tried Demon's Souls, which I picked up on the PS5, thinking I'll start with the first one. This is the very first one of these. And my first thought after a couple hours was kind of like, why?
I want to die? Oh, okay.
Like it took me like 10 hours, I think, to get to the first boss. And it took me like an hour or two to beat that boss.
Is Elden Ring the same?
It's the same kind of principle, but I think it's gotten a little.
Is it the same people?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's the same people. But it's my understanding is they've smoothed it out a lot, and since it's open world, if you can't approach something, maybe there's another direction you can go that you can approach that a little bit better. And since it's open world, it's inherently a little broken anyway, because there's people doing stupid stuff in it and getting things really early that they shouldn't technically be able to get. And in a normal Souls game, you wouldn't be able to do that. Anyway, the point behind the Souls game process is you can never be very powerful, and it's done that way. It's done that way intentionally, because you'll get to a certain point. And they have all the bosses tightly controlled to where you'll run into them when you have, at most, X amount. So they know
sounds like the power fantasy of tedium.
Yeah, they know exactly where to tune that boss to where you have to learn the mechanics.
It's like being a stockbroker's assistant
in order to be able to do it. And that's by design. And so people it's got its own it's got a growing subculture because now it's a gamer badge, right, to be able to beat a Souls game, right? It's a badge of honor. Like, well, I've beaten a Souls game. What have you beaten?
Ninja Gaiden.
Something fun,
better.
Ninja Gaiden, Contra.
I went outside. I don't know.
Right.
You know,
I touched grass.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what the kids say these days?
Right. Touch grass.
so there's a lot of
Happy birthday, William.
there's a lot of that going on, and
Yeah, I've
and
heard
people
no-
will
there's
tell
no
me
hard
those
spell
games
here.
aren't grindy, and I'm like, they're not grindy because you played them a ton. Like Demon Souls is no longer grindy for you, and you can beat it in like 10 hours because you already know this game back and forth. You beat this on a Dance Dance Revolution pad. You obviously need to find a new game, right? If you could, I literally watched a lady teach her cat how to beat a boss on a Dance Dance Revolution pad. I'm like, you need a new game.
She has more subs than all
You
of us. I'm
need
sure.
a new game.
Depressing.
You desperately need a new game.
That is depressing.
You have gotten your money's worth out of this game. My head is off to you. Your cat is a
And
better
your
Dark
cat.
Souls player than I am. I'm okay with this.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's kind of one of those things, you know. And it's just those types of games. You either get into them and you love them or you don't. I know people that adore them, and I know people that don't care for them at all. But the problem is they're becoming like Tunic is now Zelda meets Souls.
Ugh, yeah.
Why do we need that?
Right. Why does anything have
Why does
to be
that
like
need
Souls?
to exist?
Right. Why does it have to be like Souls? Why can't it just be...
Can it just be a fun Zelda game without being a Zelda game?
No.
I mean, it should be able to be. I mean, and I'm still enjoying it because it's got enough Zelda that I'm having fun with it. But there's no getting around it. The boss battles are brutal. Some of the enemy tactics are brutal. So it's kind of one of those things. It's either going to finally play itself out, or I'm just going to go full retro gaming and just beat my head against these old games.
Hey, you know what? Real quick, Mike, you play Control?
Yes.
What'd you think of that? Damn it. I was going to say that if I had to think of a game that you might like.
No. I played it, beat it.
I would maybe recommend Control.
No, Control was a good one. Max Payne is one of my all-time favorite series. Control. I also am one of those in that kind of small genre that really enjoyed Alan Wake. So I am a fan of Remedy.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of struggled with Alan Wake a little bit. I need to give it another shot.
I also really liked Quantum Break.
Mm-hmm.
See, I didn't try Quantum Break because I had trouble getting into Alan Wake, so I didn't follow a lot of the rest of their titles, and they're all in the same universe. In a sense.
No. It's a different
Control
universe.
and Alan Wake are.
Control and Alan Wake are, but Quantum Break was not. It was a different area, but there were just, there were like hints and clues, but it was not.
So Control is is it like a spiritual sequel to Alan Wake?
No,
Same
and there is
the universe maybe.
Does it play like Alan Wake?
No.
Okay.
No.
Actually, a Max Payne remake might not be bad.
I would love that. Now, there is an Alan Wake 2 coming.
Well, Alan Wake is in Control. There's a
as a side story.
Yeah,
not even a side story. It's more of a It's like the View Askew averse there. It's just he's building a universe, and there happens to be these little things that come in.
Hey, Chuck.
Yeah. Hey, Chuck. Like horticulture stuff. No, that's the thing is, and there is an Alan Wake 2 coming. So
I just like that your flashlight was your weapon. I mean, like that's
yes.
In a AAA game, that's kind of hysterical. Get this, guys, a flashlight.
Well, because it really was more about piecing together the story.
No, sure, but it's still funny as hell. That someone looked at
I did find that
very
gameplay rather tedious, though. It was like the quintessential, when you're in the action parts at night, it was the quintessential run from one arena to the next. You would make a little bit of progress down the road, then get swarmed by enemies, have to take them all out, make a little bit more progress. So
yeah.
See, I never got too deep into it because even the story with him, I don't know, something about it just wasn't grabbing me early on. And then when I got to the combat sequences, I didn't think those were too amazing either. So I'm kind of like, I'm
that's why I was asking.
I got to get knocked out of me on the hype for that game pretty quick, I think.
I beat it just because I had borrowed it from a friend, and it was really important to him that I actually play it. But it was okay. It was okay. So if Control does not play like Alan Wake, then I'll still.
No, it does not.
It does not.
Okay.
It
actually plays. Honestly, if you haven't played, so if you play Quantum Break, you'll find that Control plays more like that than any other Remedy game.
It's and the Metroid-esque-ish tiny bits of elements to it, but at the end of the day, Matthews, I will say that it's that as far as like a swarm room, like that does exist. There is that kind of that God of War aspect I'm not a fan of in Control, but what all the things that you can do and how you look at a room and go, how am I gonna beat this place is kind of what's Control. And I thought that was the aspect you might like. I still hold that Portal is a game I would recommend to you, but Control is like, if you want more action, I'd maybe suggest Control.
Portal's a game I recommend to anybody that can even play a first-person shooter.
Yeah.
Like if you get motion sickness playing a first-person shooter, I tell you to stay the hell away from Portal. You will vomit. Because there's jumps in there where you're going through one portal coming up and you're kind of like spinning, and it's very hard to kind of aim your shot and figure out where.
That's what'd be great in VR.
Yeah,
as with Sonic.
Oh God. So there's parts of Portal where I was looking at it and I'm experienced at playing enough first-person shooters that they don't generally bother me, and I'm going, okay, I gotta hit escape for a second because my eyes are spinning. This is not good.
But how cool was it, like that moment where you realize that when you jump off a ledge and enter a portal that you can shoot, like that momentum
it increases your momentum. It's awesome.
It's one of the coolest things in the world.
There's a lot of super cool in Portal. And the slight discomfort of a couple of tricky spots that aren't in 2, by the way. They smooth all that out in Portal 2. It just more than makes up for it. It's a fun series. Anybody that can tolerate an FPS and even remotely enjoys this, I recommend it to them. If you absolutely hate the genre, you might want to stay away from Portal. It may be your entryway into it if you can put up with it. But if you absolutely hate that movement style or you get sick playing it, then I would definitely stay away from it. Particularly if you get motion sickness from them. I would never recommend it to my wife. As much as she enjoyed watching me play it for an extent, she could not play it. There's no way. Absolutely not. She gets motion sick way too easy on those.
Yeah. It makes sense. End of
so,
podcast.
We didn't get anything into any of the topics I was going to cover, which is what would you leave here? What would you take into next year? What would you like to see come in the next year?
I would take my friends with me. All 3 of you gentlemen.
Wow.
That's what I
Let's
take.
go.
He wants to get me to the curb halfway through to the next year.
That's the nice message.
I expected him to be a lot more mean on that. Disappointed, sir. Disappointed. Now, real quick, is there anything out of this year that should just stay in this year? Be it games, movie. Let's stay away from politics because all that could stay.
Well, I'll be consistent. Superhero movies, for the love of God.
Yeah, I think I'm done with
finally end. I've been saying this since, 2009?
Star Wars, yeah.
So that'll be mine. And I'll say it next year and for the next decade.
Yeah, I can kind of agree with that.
Yeah,
How about
I've been
remakes?
Done with superhero movies.
Can we be done with remakes? Can we
We've
get
been
some
saying
new
that for a
stuff?
while.
I would love that. I would also agree with that sentiment. Are you talking about in movies or are you talking about just in general?
Like top to bottom. But yeah, let's stop with the movie remakes. Let's start there. Let's stop.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Would like for instance, would the Resident Evil remakes count because they dramatically changed the way the game is played. Does that still count as the remake?
It does, because it's carrying the name of the game.
Okay, fair enough. I still am with you.
Rob?
I'm down with the superhero movies.
Oh,
I'm done after Ender's Game. I'm done after Endgame.
I was done after Endgame too.
I thought that was a good cap off for everything. So I other than the next Spider-Man movie, which I had to see. That was it. I gave Doctor Strange a chance. It let me down. That was
didn't watch.
That was the genre's last opportunity for me.
Well, I think superhero lovers have said that this has been a bad phase. Right?
This has been an especially bad run.
Okay.
I don't like that. A lot of the more interesting projects were on Disney Plus, which I don't want to pay for.
Boycott Disney.
Well, they were getting there. So we've now lost Disney Plus, or at least we let it expire. So I can't even see the ones that might actually look interesting. And a lot of the movies that just didn't do very well probably would have done better as an extended series on Disney Plus. And I'm obviously running behind on the camera. So Star Wars, Star Trek, and superhero movies I would leave behind.
I would disagree with Star Trek. I'm ready for a new Star Trek.
That's fine. He asked me though.
Good point. Good point.
Wow.
You have
no discussion. Not even discussion.
You liked Picard, Mike?
No, what?
Mike, you liked Picard?
I did not, but I'm ready for a new. I'm ready for a new one in the Kelvin timeline.
Okay. Rob, you were done talking, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
I want to talk over you.
So I can go with you guys on the superhero movies. I'd like to see more. I think it stayed up point, but I want to see more diversity. I feel like too much of the theater is dominated primarily by Disney movies at this point. I felt that way for a while because there's 4, 5, 6 superhero movies coming out from them a year, and then you've got all their animated films. So 12, 15 of the released films a year feel like they're Disney. That's probably an exaggeration, but it feels that way. If it's not them,
I don't know if it
is
is really
dropping them
because they own everything.
4 Marvel movies a year.
And Disney 2 or 3 animated movies at least.
Yeah. So I would say that conservatively, I would say that at least 8 to 10 movies are Disney movies.
Yeah, and
not to mention the ones that are Disney movies just without the Disney name attached to them.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I mean, there's so much from them as a company now that it's very difficult to get excited to go to the movie theater anymore, and that's disappointing because I used to love to go to the movies. And I loved it for a long time when the superhero movies are big too, but a lot of the more recent ones I've struggled to sit down and watch. I haven't watched Thor: Blood and Thunder yet. I haven't watched Eternals. My joy level to watch Eternals is 6 feet under the ground.
It doesn't even look interesting.
Everything I've heard about that movie says I will absolutely hate this movie.
So is this superhero fatigue, or is it just Marvel making a bad Phase 4?
I think it's just fatigue. I mean, I enjoyed Black Adam pretty well. We went to go see that. But even that, if I'm going to talk about it critically, it was an okay movie. It wasn't a great movie. It was a fun popcorn film. But I'm more excited. I kind of actually want to go to the theater to see The Whale, right? I'm actually more interested in that than I am in seeing anything that Disney has out this year. Just because I want to see Brandon Fraser again. I want to see him. I want to see him doing and having fun on the screen, and it looks like he's enjoying his role, right?
And also, it's something new that's not.
It's different.
Yeah.
Right.
You don't really typically see small movies like that on the theater anymore. They don't really make it.
Yeah, they don't make it there.
No.
And so that kind of stuff is the kind of stuff I'd like to see more. I wouldn't mind seeing and I know people hate these, but I kind of miss some of the buddy cop films, right? I miss some of the stuff like the lethal weapons and the
Tango and
24
Cash.
Tango and Cash and stuff like that. It would be nice to see something like that come back, not in a comedy aspect, but go ahead and do the series grading ones. Let them deal with some drama, like Lethal Weapon, where like Mel Gibson puts the gun in his mouth and he has to stop him from firing it. That's fucking intense. There's a lot of emotion in there.
I thought you were...
As much as I don't like Mel Gibson as a person,
that was the funny part. I don't know.
there's a lot of good.
That was funny.
I was laughing.
I saw. I think it was.
I don't know if I call it a comedy part.
Let me phrase it this way. In the original Lethal Weapon, I look at that now in comparison, and it wasn't considered a real like deep acting performances, right? Mm-hmm. But you look at it now compared to what we have on the screen now, and it's fucking Oscar worthy. The performances these guys are putting on there.
Movies now.
Absolutely.
It's a night and day difference.
Yeah.
Garbage.
In what the baseline was.
Like there was a lot of actually, especially in that first Lethal Weapon movie, there was actual heart in that movie.
Yes.
Yep.
Riggs was like legitimately hurting in that movie.
Yep.
And you could tell he played it very well. And as much as again, I don't condone anything from Mel Gibson. He's a terrible person. He did a great job in the movie. And so did Danny Glover. Is a great foil to him. They cast them perfectly to play off of each other, and you came up with a much more balanced movie as a result.
Well, by the way, I do believe they're making another Rush Hour, Nick.
They are. They are.
Well, I'm just saying, buddy cops.
I thought 2 was a stretch. 3, I haven't watched again in a
3
while.
was horrible. 3 was horrible, but 2, I thought 2 was really, really good.
I thought 2 was pretty good, but I mean, it's kind of like there's only so much Chris Tucker I can take.
That is for me 0, Chris Tucker.
I like Chris Tucker, but I like Jackie Chan.
He made Fifth Element unwatchable.
Yeah, I couldn't stand him in Fifth Element. He was okay in the first Rush Hour movie.
Oh.
Yeah, I thought he was pretty good in the first Rush Hour.
Friday, he was pretty funny, I guess.
2, he was starting to kind of grind on my nerves. I enjoyed him in Fifth Element because he was supposed to be ultra annoying, and it's very easy for him to do that.
Like Dennis Rodman without a filter. It was just
pretty much.
Now, a couple years ago, they did. There was the third Bad Boys movie, and my wife and I really enjoyed that because we like the Bad Boys series. Yeah, Will Smith, who I also do not condone at this point, but Martin Lawrence and I mean those guys, those were good movies, and the third one was really really good.
I haven't seen the last Bad Boys movie.
It was good. Bad Boys for Life.
I liked the first two. They were fun.
Well, Nick, you had said Mad Max. I was just agreeing.
Mad Max Fury Road I thought was great.
Yeah, that was an
awesome
movie.
That was an amazing movie.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an action movie.
George Miller.
You're in the middle of the action and interrupt the flow of the movie. Everything clicked.
Not going to do anymore. So
that's all right. That was a good movie to end on.
Yeah,
it was. It's just like that was like so good. It's like you want to see more of it. You want to see more of that. And they were planning on more sequels, but then he was like, "Oh, hold on, that like goes against everything I've said before, so we're not going to do it." So,
nice.
Yeah, I guess.
I heard they were going to try to do a spinoff with Furiosa.
That's when he realized it was getting out of control, so he killed it.
Okay. And honestly, I still, for some reason, enjoyed the Jurassic Park movies just because they're so crazy, campy, stupid at this point.
That's a shame.
They've really gone downhill. The first one I thought was phenomenal, and after that, it floundered a lot. I'll be the first to admit I enjoy them for what they are, but they're not.
I don't remember 2.
Really, all that good.
2 is when at the end they went to they were in the suburbs.
Oh yeah. 3.
Yeah, 2 they ended up bringing one into L.A. and then it's just tearing through L.A. and it's kind of a mess.
I think it was because of Lost World that we got Godzilla,
but it's still not great.
3 was decent. When they tried to go back to the original formula. The ones with I hadn't seen the third one of the new trilogy, but I like what the hell is his name? Christopher not what the hell's his name?
Chris Pratt?
Yeah, I like Chris Pratt, and I thought that trying to rekindle that original fire on the
first. I think he's
first
overexposed at this point. I like him as an actor, but he's in everything right now. He's very much like The Rock was for a while, and still is to an extent. He's in so much stuff that you kind of get overexposed.
Yeah,
to him
no, I can agree with that.
And that's not his fault. He's just, he's making his money where he can make his money. But, and you're even casting him as Mario now. And while I don't absolutely hate the voice the way everybody else seems to hate the voice, I feel like you could have gotten somebody that could have felt a little bit more Mario without being like doing just one-liners from like the Mario game. Like, wahoo!
Benedict Cumberbatch could have killed it. I was gonna say.
Do what?
Benedict Cumberbatch could have killed it.
Maybe. Where I started losing a little bit of faith in him was the Grinch, because I really did not like his performance in the Grinch.
I did not either.
And see
when I see Benedict Cumberbatch, what I honestly see is Sherlock, because that was a fantastic
But you wouldn't see
series.
him; you would see Mario.
Right. But
Good point, Rob.
I don't know. I don't know. I haven't seen it yet, but the couple of clips that I've seen, I don't have a specific issue with Chris Pratt's voice.
No, they deliberately haven't really given him a whole lot of dialogue in the trailers. Just a little bit, but it's not like he is doing a lot of the talking.
Yeah.
And I wonder how much of that is intentional, because like you're seeing a lot of Bowser in the trailers. And it's clear
Jack Black is doing a great job from what I've seen.
Jack Black is having a lot of fun.
Yeah, well,
he's generally having a good time.
He has a good time in everything he does.
He really does, and he's an underrated actor. I feel like
he is.
I would also say that this one observation I've been making over the past few years in all these video game movies, it seems like the saving grace has always been the main villain. Like no one really liked the Street Fighter movie, but everyone seems to like Raul Julia as M. Bison.
Yeah.
I thought.
I think out of camp though.
Yes, well, I mean, he was over the top. He's like M. Bison Bucks or whatever it was, and
he did. But you
tyrannical
know the
speeches.
Yes, but you know the story behind that.
Yes, I do. But I mean, it was also his performance. These standout moments of these movies, and
yes.
I thought that God, what's his name? Bowser from the original Super Mario Bros. Movie.
Yeah.
I thought he was like one of the standout parts of that movie.
Rutger Hauer.
No, Dennis
Hopper.
Dennis Hopper.
Yes, I thought he was great. And Jim Carrey's was absolutely the best part of the Sonic movies. So I'd be willing to bet that we're going to walk away with Jack Black's Bowser being the best part of the Mario movie.
I wish Nintendo trolled everyone, and when he was alive, I wish they got Gilbert Gottfried to voice Mario. That would have made me very happy. I'm with the jumping. I would have enjoyed that thoroughly.
Oh my god, that would have driven me crazy.
Just I totally troll.
I'll be honest. As much as I love Aladdin for Robin Williams' performance,
I love
Gilbert Gottfried makes that a little bit of a slog.
Oh no, Iago, no. I liked it.
He makes his voice, man. It's not the best one. It's kind of like a, God, just watched Scrooge with him last night.
And Bobcat
go with. Yeah. Sometimes his voice just drives me crazy every night.
Yeah, I get that.
I bought him as a parrot though. He does have kind of a parrotish rocking voice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
that just became my new ringtone.
If I was going to leave something behind, it would probably be the delusion of superhero movies, and maybe this trend of making everything a freaking Souls game.
Yeah.
It's just too much. When you're starting to make Zelda a Souls game, I feel like we've gone too far. It just doesn't need to be that. I would take into it a little bit more diversity in game types and ideas moving forward.
We need more indies out there. That's what we need.
We've got plenty of indies, but they get buried. They don't get highlighted enough.
So I would like indies to stop trying to be roguelikes.
Roguelikes could almost go away at this point. The only one of those I've actually enjoyed has been the Diablo series, and I don't really consider that much of a roguelike. It's not random enough. Rogue's very, very random. And Diablo's not that random. And it's gotten less random as it moves forward, right? Like the area is random.
That's would you call it a rogue light?
Yeah, kinda.
What the genre
Well, it's a rogue-like is
Ask.
what they inspired to be, but a rogue
Right.
light should almost be a new genre where it's kind of got elements of rogue, but kind of not.
Rogue adjacent, yeah.
Yeah, rogue adjacent.
Rogue
I
adjacent.
didn't really even care for Hades, which is supposed to be like the blue ribbon of that, because every run I did, I could never put together a build that would get me anywhere. Like 9 times out of 10, I couldn't put a build together that would get me anywhere in the game. I would get to the same spot I always got to just because I knew how to play the game, but it wasn't because of my abilities, it was despite of them, right? And that wasn't fun for me. So I don't necessarily enjoy that game type personally. I still want it to be around because there's plenty of people that love it.
Yeah.
Maybe just not so much of it. You know, that kind of thing.
Well, it's either that or Metroidvania. Seems like they're going to go for one of those
There's
two.
tons of
genres.
those. I bought a couple of new ones today, but there's so many of them.
I think that's a genre that could probably
Those
take a little breather.
1.0 Blasphemous is like that meets Dark Souls. Again
Fun.
with the souls.
Right, again with the souls.
You know, stuff like that.
But I would say I'm okay, and maybe it's because I like those kind of games. The Metroidvania games I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that because I like that series. As long as they continue to make them enjoyable to play, I'm okay with them. I'd like to see more shmups in 2023. That's
kind of what I was like. Let's give the Metroidvania a break and let's go back to making games more like Contra and like R-Type.
A new Contra is definitely needed.
Yes.
A new Contra.
Well, they tried to make one, but they just went and made a mess out of it. I didn't even pick that one up.
That piece of shit, they had the nerve to call it Contra game. That doesn't count. That was like so. That had
and
to
then
be
there was the mobile one that
scrap.
felt a lot more like Contra, but it was too daily grindy for me to want to deal with it.
Was that the? Oh yeah, the I didn't really care for the mobile.
They had a phone one, and at first I was kind of stoked for it because it felt a lot like Contra, and then the more I played it, the more it felt like it was kind of playing itself in some ways, and I'm like, I don't know, no. And then there was a lot of daily grind stuff on it that I just didn't want to do, and I'm like, no. This isn't. Props to anybody who likes it. This is not for me.
Yeah, but I also feel like there were some really good like space shmups or those kind that came out on like the Xbox and PlayStation 4 time period. There was one called Project Root, one called Dogos, and both of them were very much like Thunder Force. Thunder Force 2, the Overhead. I'd love to see the return of that, or like you said, Rob, an R-Type or a Darius Gaiden kind of game.
Like R-Type with souls, kind of, right?
Well, honestly, one
Pace,
that
you and I should meet up on just real quick. You and I should meet up on Discord. I want to compare notes with you. Go ahead. I didn't want him to leave.
Oh no, you're fine. One I think that you would actually enjoy. That's come out this month. And this one isn't like brand new, but I think you'd enjoy Rigid Force Redux or Rigid Force Alpha, as it is on like PlayStation 4 and all that. I think you'd enjoy that one. It's got kind of a I don't think it's as hard as the R-Types or the
Arcade Pilot.
The Gradius ones. But
I feel like I talk about Gradius too much. That's why I said R-Type.
Yeah,
but I would take a new Gradius game every year if I could. In a lot of the shmups that I've looked into, I don't really like the way that's. There was one you were playing, Nick, where you were. It was a little, I guess, like a little arcade grindy where you could replay the levels as many times as you want. I prefer a game that's like a one linear string of levels and you beat it. So okay. I don't want to have to unlock 6, 7, 8 levels, and then I just can freely go in between them. I want to actually play it like a linear experience. So those are the kind of shooters I'm
you're probably thinking of Skyforce that I was playing for a while.
And it looked really cool, but I mean the object was to get as much points, I guess, in each level and unlock more ships.
Right.
Yeah.
And it seems like when I was looking at shooters,
I think you would like Rigid Force Alpha because it kind of plays just through the stages. It takes you from stage to stage to stage, and when you're done, you're done. You start back at stage 1 again. So I think you would actually like Rigid Force Alpha, quite frankly. That seems very much in line with what you're telling me you would like to see.
Basically, if it plays just like Gradius, then that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's a side-scrolling shooter.
And R-Type kind of plays like that.
It's kind of an R-Type.
Although actually, like I guess the one exception I'll make to that would be R-Type Final, where the goal is to play as much as you can and unlock all the ships. So I thought I liked that mechanic in that game.
Yeah, more sequels to Gradius than R-Type's what Arcade Pilot says.
Yeah, agreed.
So I think we're probably going to call it there. I'm going to try to see if my wife actually wants to spend some time, or if she's already gone to bed.
What if she says 11, no?
It's crazy.
Yeah,
late.
what if she's awake and she's like, "This
is crazy late."
Get away! It's crazy late for most of the panel, except for like Rob and
Rob.
Yeah,
and Tony Danza, who doesn't sleep at all.
That is correct.
So I think we're going to call it here. Thank you, everybody who popped in and out of the chat. We actually we're holding like at 13, 14, a lot of the stream, and then it dipped as we got to like hour 2.
Your panel may have done the same thing, right?
It did. Everybody started falling asleep. So we're definitely going to call it here. Thank you, everybody, for popping in for our last stream of the year. We will definitely be back next year. I am still sort of struggling to figure out what to do with this channel.
Just rename it Retro.
We told you what to do. It's a Fortnite only
I don't do much
channel.
with it outside this, and this only happens every other week. And I hate to have a channel up where I only do one thing on it every other week.
Fortnite. How are we
Fortnite.
This?
No, I'm doing Fortnite, and I don't
Yo,
have time
what's
to
popping?
I don't have time to stream a lot, so making a streaming channel unless I'm going to stream most days is not conducive, and I can't stream on here every day. Although I am on a stream most days, and weird.
I've told you forever that if you were playing it, if you're going to cover a game on Geekstorian, that you play it on this channel, you interact with the chat while you're playing it, so you're getting to talk to your chat, you're also getting to play the game for your footage for your other channel, and you can talk to the chat and ask them, hey, do you guys know any random facts about this game, or is there anything interesting? So you're kind of, while you're doing work and entertaining, you're also helping the other channel.
Thank you. I muted that so you guys didn't have to hear that.
But that's a good idea, because I mean, there's always some person in your chats that knows a lot about whatever game you're playing.
Yeah,
so
and
this is true.
Try that at least once.
I've been wanting to do it, and I also kind of wanted to do the collabs, but the way that Thumb wanted to do it and the way I envisioned it happening were very different. Thumb wanted to do a one-on-one on Discord and just coach me that way, and then have me live stream it when I'm ready. My idea was to have us live streaming it while he's coaching me or making fun of me or whatever on the live stream as I'm playing the game, and other people can watch and interact. Right? That was more what I had in mind. That's not how it went, but that's kind of what I had in mind. And that's kind of what I had in mind if we did Life Force with me and you, Rob. Would be something more akin to that.
There you go, live stream the coaching.
Well, that was sort of the idea, right? I thought it'd be something a little bit different that don't see a lot of.
Yeah, I agree with that.
At all. Kind of a new take on like kind of like a Get Good kind of series kind of thing, right? When somebody kind of doing it. And I would hear more somebody talking to me than like 9 people telling me, like, do this. Chat, well, I'm already struggling to figure out the game. Which I'm very bad at. I'm very bad at when I'm really wrapped up in a difficult part of a game. I have a very hard time hearing the chat, but I can hear somebody else talking to me much easier. So I thought that might work, but that's not really been anything that's ramped up. But that was kind of a late in the year idea. I've also wanted to tie the 2 channels together, but I can't. By the time I get done wrapping up stuff for the week with the Geek Story channel, it's all I can do to figure out what the hell I'm going to stream.
My idea would have solved that.
Yeah, but I also had to plan it out way further in advance.
You only have to plan what the topic is, and then just do it on this channel.
Yeah,
you would play the thing here.
I need to play around with it and think about it some more. maybe when I take one of my breaks during the year, because I know I'm going to take a couple of breaks during the year, at least on the
That would be a good idea.
To kind of stop, rethink about what direction I can take things now. Because eventually the ideas I have are going to play out. Like literally, I'm just going to run out of ideas. So I'm going to need new ideas. It hasn't happened yet, but I'm sure it's going to happen. My channel's only like 6 months old. So anyway, that's kind of where my headspace is right now. But what's everybody got going on? And I know you have things like 5 months in advance, but nothing in the near future, right? But
well, yeah. So
20 things.
Yeah, the idea for 2023 for me to come back to the channel because I had a lot of life things to take care of. So my goal is to get 5 videos. That's my new thing. I'm just going to release things when they're done. I'm no longer going to be telling a specific date. But the idea is to get 5 videos done this year, and they're very, very big episodes. The one I'm doing now might even come and clock in at 3.5 hours. So I have to significantly chop that down, most likely into multiple parts. But that's what I'm talking about. These episodes are big, they're epic, they're story driven, with games as topics, but they're massive, massive episodes. So that's what I'm focusing on for 2023. 5 really, hopefully great episodes that you and the family can sit down, hopefully get some popcorn and watch, and hopefully have a good time.
That sounds fantastic to me. Mike,
it does.
What you got coming
Full
in?
New Year, right?
Absolutely. That is,
okay.
Yes.
YouTube's going to love it.
Yeah. And families are going to send a lot of hate mail, yeah.
Well, since I'm here, since I'm stateside, we are going to have a show tomorrow.
That's fair.
May
as well, man. You're going to be here.
Going to be here, and so far, this has helped, cheer me up. So, yeah, we're gonna do a show tomorrow. We're just we'll do the modern game recap, so Rob doesn't have to watch. And we're gonna talk about what we are really looking forward to next year.
I may be more effective on that panel moving forward because I've been doing a lot more modern gaming lately. I've kind of gone the opposite direction of what you've done. I've kind of gone more modern lately than retro.
You are always welcome.
So it's kind of been one of those things, and I'm still behind, except for in High on Life, which I just literally just now picked up. But like even Tunic was like earlier this year, and I just now dipped my toe into it. So
no, you're always welcome. You know that.
I know.
All of you
I know.
guys.
I just normally prefer to be in the chat on them because a lot of times I have a stream before that, and I don't want to stream for like 9 hours.
No, that's totally fair. Plus you do a really good job of keeping an eye on the chat for us.
Yeah, I usually try to keep an eye on the chat as well. That's kind of because I'm sort of passively watching, but I can watch and see what people are saying and see if anybody comes up to cause trouble and zap them. And even if I'm not following the conversation, it's just there to kind of like give you like airtime because a lot of times I'm on the sofa with Nicole, so I can't keep the volume up to contribute in the conversation, but I can at least moderate.
Yeah,
and
you thankfully guys... we don't have that kind of issue. But you're always you're a good porn bot. Although since we started doing subscriber only chat,
it's been not bad at all since subscriber.
Yeah, the porn bots have because they're not going to subscribe.
No, they're not.
That's all we ever asked of them. We'd let them stick around if they'd like to subscribe.
Every time I try to ban one, I'm like, don't forget to like and subscribe.
Right. like Peter has literally said, we'll even let you keep the chat. We'll even let you keep the messages in chat. Just subscribe.
Have you guys would you guys ever be interested in doing a marathon? Like, let's say it was for a charity or something, like a marathon stream, like where we go
Extra Life?
2 days,
like Extra
something
Life?
like that. Because I'm down for that. I can win.
I have thought about doing an Extra Life stream. I just don't know when, and I don't know if I could. I don't.
Well,
know
if you ever need someone at like 4 a.m. that can bore the hell out of everyone.
I'll be honest. If I thought we could raise some money for like a cool charity or something like this, I donate.
Yeah.
To at least one every year. I don't know if Zombie did his this year because if he did, I tell
you he didn't get it. He wasn't able to.
Okay.
And
because I was kind of looking for him this year. I made heaps this year, and donated.
I think he had a lot going on in his personal life this year.
Okay, that makes sense because I made the last one. But I didn't make this one, and I felt bad because I'm like, God, did I donate to Heaps and not Zombie this year? Because I kind of wanted to donate to Zombie too. So I try to hit those and help people out when they do that, because it's usually like it's going for a good cause.
Yeah, every Canadian does it too every year.
I miss his. I don't see those as much. So I'm glad he's doing those again. So I know he stopped when the original channel kind of went for a while. So, and sometimes I miss those. I was donating to his for a year or two as well.
Yep.
So yeah, I wouldn't mind doing one of those. It probably
Pace says he's up all the time, so Pace can even.
See, there you go.
Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah, he didn't sleep. There we go.
We got to compare our numbers one day, because at the moment I don't think anyone's ever beat my record.
Probably not. But I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about that. Maybe more collabs in the next year, at least on this channel, because the other channel I've not been doing collabs on. I could probably be talked into it, but it had to be a very specific thing. I just kind of run that channel independently, and it seems to work okay. There's been days where I don't even want to bother like advertising it, and it'll just do what it's going to do, because it's so frustrating to try to advertise it.
Oh, sure.
And it's more frustrating when you see people come in that just like trash talk it and have no concept of what they're talking about on it. Like, if you don't like how my voice sounds, or you don't like this, or you don't like the production of me, that's fine. But to tell me I don't cover obscure stuff,
yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
It is pretty ridiculous in my opinion, because that's most of what I do.
Some people just come in just to be dicks.
Yeah, and that's kind of how it is. And
like, someone accused me of information regurgitation. And it's like, all I do is like editorial type content, so it's not like I'm absorbing information and like.
I can't even think of where you would be doing that.
I said in the comment, where have I ever actually been informative? Please let me know.
Yeah,
did you watch my video? Because I'm so trite. So
yeah.
I think that was just someone who was deliberately trying to get under my skin, though.
Well, I think a lot of it is too, is people are expecting you to come up with some new revelation for something that's been out for 40 years, and it's just not there.
That's the problem. It's like, that's something I've been kind of dealing with. It's just accepting the fact that for every new thing you have to talk about, there are hundreds of other channels that have already talked about it or are going to be talked about at the same time. Even on our own community, I find that I'll think of something fun and exciting, and then like Eugene will stream that game. So it's like there are only so many ideas out there. There's honestly the only unique things any of us have is just our way of presenting the same information.
And that's it. It's your way of thinking about it, or approaching it, or just presenting it, right? And that's fine. But there's been a couple times where like I've gone back and played something, and it's kind of newish to me, or it's something I haven't played in a while, and you guys are like, I haven't beaten that in a while. Because there was like a rash of people who played Zelda because I got frustrated with the game I was playing and played Zelda one day, and then like it seemed like half the community went through and just stomped Zelda in like an evening.
Yeah.
Or got back into playing Contra again because I was struggling through Contra, and they just had to go back and play Contra. You know? And there's worse things than that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, and I've done the same thing. I've seen you guys play something. I'm like, God, I really should probably try that, you know, or get back into playing that, or put that on my list of ones to play. Like watching Thumb play Super C so much has me kind of wanting to try Super C this year, you know. As frustrating as that game has been for him, I kind of want to see if I can push through it, you know.
Just the way he's playing it. I think if you were to approach it the same way you approached Contra, it would be as frustrating as Contra was for you, but not to the
why don't you try and get good at obscure games?
Well, I wouldn't really call Super C an obscure game.
No, that's my point. I'm saying, why not try to get really good at games that no one's ever even heard of?
Yeah, I mean, I could do that, but if I was going to do that, I would do that more on Steam, and then the approach level on, well, it wouldn't really matter. It'd be mostly for me. Like, I might reinstall and start playing Blazing Chrome one day, just so Rob can see it and see if he wants to play it. I did like a 15-minute impressions on it, where I was kind of going through stuff like that, doing that at one point on the Geek Square Cast channel. And the idea behind that was I'd play the game for 15 minutes and see if I thought it was worth investing more time in. That was the idea.
Pirates. It's a Konami game, or at least published by Konami. He's got a good little recommendation for you.
Get good at Pirates on the NES. Fuck is that?
Is that the same?
We're not talking
pirate
Sid Meier's
simulation
Pirates,
game?
right?
What?
We're not talking Sid Meier's Pirates, are we?
Yeah, I don't know if it's the same game. I feel like it is.
It is.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
I have
It
played a
is.
lot of Sid Meier's Pirates, but my problem is I was always like 50 or 60 by the time I got to the last guy in that game, and I couldn't figure out how to do it faster. So
But
I
it
was
would be
always
the
too
NES
slow to
version,
be able to like
so-
fight him. It felt like. That was my struggle with that one. And that was probably just how I was playing it.
Did Konami develop it also, or were they just the publisher based? You know?
Of this Pirates game?
Yeah.
I was seeing Microprose. I don't know if that's...
Well, Microprose was.
I mean, did they handle the port themselves? I guess is what I'm saying. Because obviously they didn't develop the original Sid Meier's game. But
I'm seeing Microprose, Firaxis Games, and Rare were the developers.
Correct. So
because it was an Ultra game, I
no,
believe. Right?
Doesn't look Ultra
No.
to me.
no.
Oh no, it was.
No,
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
I think when I
God, I
played
knew
that
it.
game, I played
We've
it
got to
on,
be
like-
talking about. a
There's
different
your
game.
information regurgitation right there. I learned that somewhere and I just repeated it on stream. So I guess the guy was right.
I'm looking it up.
On
Oh,
the
okay.
box.
I'm sorry. On the NES, it was published by Ultra, but it was
Yeah.
developed. The game was completely developed by Microprose.
Okay.
So
Yeah, that's what I was asking. So I didn't.
Yeah.
But they made the original game too, didn't they?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
that's what I
Sid
thought.
Meier. I mean, I've known Sid Meier a long time. Sid made that game along with like Civilization, things like that. He worked for Microprose. Microprose was then bought by Spectrum Holobyte, and then after that, Sid Meier, the hell is his name? There's two guys. One of them's a friend of mine from my who used to go to Temple with me, Brian Reynolds, and one other guy left Microprose and created Firaxis Games. Firaxis Games, which actually their offices are like 20 minutes from my house. All these places are like in Maryland. So Microprose was in Hunt Valley, and then Firaxis is in White Marsh. Firaxis was then bought by 2K Games, so they're owned right now by 2K. But yeah, Sid Meier did that, and then his name just got punched onto the game from then on.
Paste, I had that game. I've never actually powered on. I will now.
I think I played it on like my tablet because they released it on the tablet, and I had fun with it there.
I have it on the
perfectly
PSP
fine.
also. But he's referring specifically to the because that was what I was asking, because I know that, for example, Ghosts and Goblins, obviously it's a Capcom game, but when they ported it to the British computers, it was basically being reprogrammed from the ground up by those British development houses, whatever they're called. It's right. Okay. Well, yeah. I won't expect.
Get ready, it's raw. Okay.
So it's not as good as Jackal, is what you're saying.
Yeah, let the Brits port it. Okay. Apparently, that one was a bit of a struggle, I guess.
But
I don't know.
that just gave the ZX Spectrum port of Ghosts and Goblins that specific feel that only that developer could come up with.
Yes.
So that's why it would have been cooler if it was like Konami doing the port themselves, so it would still have that Konami feel, the Konami sound.
Guys, we should call it. I should actually.
Yeah, we
Well,
can't
what's
let the
Rob-
stream
Yeah,
break.
now
Yeah.
we're just.
Find out what Rob
Now
is.
we're just kind of like going off on weird tangents. But I
Yes.
gotta get some sleep. Okay.
Rob, what are you doing? What's your
Yeah, what are you doing?
answer?
Yeah, what are you
Oh,
doing?
I've got a couple of videos that I've in early development, and I want to get them out as early as I can in the year. So like probably 3 or 4. I've got big ideas, so we'll see. Nothing coming up anytime soon.
So regurgitation. All right, cool.
Yes. Self-regurgitation.
That's what we all do here. What we specialize in. All right, guys. Thank you everybody for popping in. I will we'll do this again soon. If we're gonna do one this long, we're definitely gonna start it earlier. Hi, Casey. You caught us as we were desperately trying to like sign off for the evening because we all got to get some sleep. Thank you for popping in, though. It has been a long but very interesting 3-hour stream.
Yes, this has been great.
That's been a great stream. It just went way longer in the tooth than we usually go. Normally we go 1.5 hours, 2 hours max. So, but I knew we'd go longer because we had Tony Dan's on here. So
you're welcome.
I knew we would tack on at least another half hour. That you were going to be on here because we usually do when we have a guest.
That's what Tony Danza does. He makes podcasts way longer than they need to be.
He's dying.
All right, guys. We're going to call it a night. Thank you so much for popping in and hanging out with us. It has been a blast.
Thank you very much. So
do not forget to like and subscribe to all the channels that are on the panel. Those are linked in the description. I made sure of it before I was here. And have a great rest of your week. Don't forget to check out the Geekstorian channel and everybody else and all that other good stuff. And
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. And we will see you guys in the new year. Later.
Night, everyone.
Play on, gamers.